double check and make sure I got this right. I think so. I think the stream has started.
Just looking at the
Yes,
active streams channel.
it is. It is. Okay. Let me get my last little piece notebook here organized. All right. So yeah, once again, where we left off last session, you guys had traversed a labyrinth. You met a couple interesting characters down there. So made it through pretty well. You avoided a lot of traps, maybe triggered one or two other ones, but you survived. You reached the Tomb of the Elder Gods. These three sort of massive structures in this big open wide chamber. They look very decayed and old. The three of them just sitting in the room, one directly in front of you as you entered, and then one off to the left, one off to the right. As you all entered the chamber, you received a very almost creepy welcome as the three of them spoke in unison, simply said, "Welcome, long lost travelers."
That's us.
Is there a good reference for scale of like these things? Like I get
Yeah.
that they're like kind of massive.
If you look at
but
the
like
images, you can see human form in there. You can see
well, I guess what I meant is like is the like in the second image is like the face like pretty far away also?
Yes. Yeah, the face is further back as well. That one has three figures that are just very old and decayed. There's been things growing on them, like mushroom and barnacle and things like that. The chamber itself is very like wet and old and muddy and dirty.
So you could say these things are like in the hundreds of feet tall.
Yes, easily.
Okay.
Yeah, one. I'd say the largest one is the last image that I posted.
Are they all atop like this like staircase like surrounding it, or is there like any particular like orientation to this room?
The room itself is just one massive chamber. Sort of as you glance around, you can't really see how far it goes. It darkens off in the distance, but
Okay.
it darkens off as you look up into the ceiling as well. There's a very large space behind these creatures. As you enter, they're several hundred feet out in front of you. Just the scale of itself is very massive. They rise up out of the ground in the locations that they are. The first image that I posted is directly in front of you in the center. The second image is off to your left at a distance, and that last image is off to the right. There's various forms of light in this room. Sunlight where it shouldn't be, blue and gold wisping sort of energy that glows traveling around these creatures. They don't move, they are completely still. You can see that there are things almost dripping off of them. The air is very humid and moist in the room.
Oh, when you said rise, you just mean like they just tower above,
Yes,
right?
right. Yeah, they're not physically moving at all. But yeah, any other questions about the chamber? Or do you guys have a good idea of what you're at?
Is it only one entrance, one exit?
The only entrance you can see is that the doorway that you came into, which is a large archway up that staircase that you had walked up after leaving the watercraft that you'd arrived on.
And we can still see that, right? Like that hasn't like disappeared behind us.
No, it hasn't disappeared. You've just basically walked through, so you're within 20 feet of that archway.
Yeah.
After the initial welcome, you get mostly silence. You can still hear, like I said, the sort of echoing drips throughout the remainder of the chamber. You can feel a presence and energy as these things are watching you almost, even though they don't seem to have any prevalent eyes. Nothing's blinking, nothing's moving, but you can feel their gaze on you.
Feel the gaze.
What would you guys like to do in this chamber?
Owen just looks at the rest of the party and says, "Well, we made it here. Now what?"
Now we find out why Kavala sent us here.
He didn't happen to give you any more information, did you? Did he, about what we were supposed to do when we got here?
Just that they would have information that we would want to know.
I see. Um,
Well, you spoke with him at length. You know him the most of any of us.
As you're sort of discussing amongst yourselves, you notice a very light fog drifting along the ground, about a foot off the ground, sort of blowing in from the back of the room and overtaking the entire chamber.
don't like that.
It reaches you and passes around you. Some of it escapes out the archway that you came in. You can feel very cold almost as it makes contact with you. Very thick fog. You can't see below it.
Um,
And how tall is it?
About a foot off the ground.
Okay. Briar's gonna approach. Are they all kind of equal distance?
Roughly. Yeah. The one directly in front of you is several hundred feet in front. So it's, you'd have to walk across a very vast chamber before you'd reach it. The other two, they're obviously within eyesight. They're massive. And they're several hundred feet from each other as well.
Okay. Yeah, she's gonna walk forward.
Everybody
And,
else moving as well.
yeah, I'm gonna move with Briar.
Yeah, I'll take the rear.
Yeah.
As you approach, every so often, you can see the mist of the fog sort of coil and rise up and almost snake its way around you.
Does it? I never know how to ask this. Does it feel malicious?
What's the vibe?
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
vibe? No, you don't have to roll anything. It doesn't feel malicious at all. It feels almost inquisitive.
Okay. Interesting. And so is there a point that we would be able to stop where we're approximately equal distance between all three of them without like getting significantly closer to one versus the other?
Sure. As you move through, still the fog sort of continuously like rises up and reaches for you almost. Doesn't make physical contact. It just like reaches up and you can feel it sort of travel around you. The closer you get, you start to hear whispers in the air. You can't quite make it out. It's in a very strange dialect. You don't recognize this language as being of the world of Theros, but you do recognize it. You can't tell exactly why or how, but it's something that is familiar to all of you. The whispering is traveling in the air, and it does sound like it's emanating from these three creatures, we'll call them.
Are they like distinct voices, or is it like too hard to tell?
They're all speaking simultaneously. So the whispers sort of travel through back and forth. It's almost hard to tell exactly where they came from, but you can tell that it's coming from the direction of them. But you can reach a point in the room that's centered out, where you're roughly 100 feet or so from the center god, if you will.
Okay.
With the other two flanking on the opposite sides.
All right.
So your party approaches and stops.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wish to address these beings?
Yeah, I'm not sure where to start. Um
Dormammu, we've come to bargain.
As you stand there in thought, you still hear the whispering, almost the constant whispering. It doesn't sound aggressive at all. It's very chaotic, though. You get the sense that they're discussing you.
if I hear the voices or like the voices that like I hear, do they seem directed like in terms of like are if I were to like try and listen for the source of them, does it sound like they're coming from the statues or does it sound like they're coming from all around us?
It does sound like it's coming from the statues, but the sound of it sort of bounces around the chamber and travels around in multiple directions. Again, there's almost no space between. They're talking all at the same time and over top of each other.
Are you sure that these are the ones that Kavala told us about?
Yes, they most certainly are. Maria's gonna raise her voice and say, "Hello.
The
Uh,
whispering stops immediately.
we are in fact travelers and we're lost for a time, but I'm not sure we can say that we're long lost travelers. An acquaintance directed us to this location and advised that it would be worth our time and we would learn something we would want to know."
You get a response. The first thing you hear is Kavala. We recognize that name. It's good that he sent you to us, those of the old council.
The old council.
Tell us, why have you come?
We're in a situation where we are somewhere that we shouldn't be. We were brought into the underworld and we wish to return to Theros. And we wish to return without conditions. However, we have entered into a deal that likely includes more conditions than we're aware of.
As you're talking, suddenly you hear, all at the same time, simultaneously, from these three creatures, like, they've forgotten, they don't remember, they don't know. Why don't they remember?
Don't remember what?
They stop again as you speak. Do you not know from whence you came? Do you not remember us?
No, most certainly do not. Should we?
There's silence for a moment. Then you hear that whispering again in that opposite language, very cavernously this time, very loud and very angry, almost argumentative.
What language is it? Do I recognize it?
This again, it feels familiar, but you don't recognize it as a language from anywhere on the plane of Theros.
Mm.
But it is something that you all are familiar with somehow. You just can't understand it. It's almost like listening to it, you feel like you understand it, you know it, but you can't make out the words. It's like something from a dream.
We get the gist, like the emotion behind it, but we don't get like the meaning. Kind
No,
of.
it's like
No?
you feel like you've spoken it before.
Oh.
Almost like if you're hearing English, but flashbanged. You can't make it out.
Yeah.
It continues back and forth for a while. It gets louder sometimes and calms down, and then for a moment it just stops again, all of a sudden, leaving just silence, and you can hear that drip drip of the cavern around you. From the centermost elder god, that fog forms and pushes out from the center of the creature in front of you, the statue of what's left of it, basically. It travels towards the group, stops for a moment, and forms a circle around you as the energy starts to sort of swirl and spin and rotate around you, very Twister-like. And from
I'm gonna like involuntarily like step back, I think. Like if I see like like something coming towards us.
okay, but like just slowly step backwards, or
No, like just take a single step back, like
okay,
unsure of what is actually happening.
okay. Yeah, it moves very quickly towards you, but you see it approaching. It's coming from a good distance away. So you're able to take a step back, but it stops before it reaches the group of you, and it forms a circle around you, roughly 4 feet above the ground, sort of wisping in a very tight cone. From the
So
opposite,
it does it surround us or is it in front of us?
it surrounds you in a ring, basically,
Okay.
about almost waist to chest high. And the
And
opposite,
how big is the diameter?
it's probably about 12 feet. Sort of
Okay.
like moves and is pretty chaotic in the way that it's swirling. The shape seems to change sometimes, but for the most part, it remains about there. And from the opposite two elder gods, the ones that did not emit that fog, that golden light, that sort of strange, misplaced light or energy, projects forward into that fog and starts to travel along with it. So the fog itself starts to glow with that golden energy. It starts to feel a lot warmer.
I'm gonna look up
I'm
to the center, or like just up at one of the gods, and just be like, "And what is this now?"
There's still silence for a moment. You hear very light whispers after a time where they start to almost communicate amongst themselves again. And simultaneously, again, the three of them speak to you. We need to know that it's really you.
Seem to know something about us that we, it seems, do not.
Who are you?
There's almost an angry groan that reverberates through the entirety of the room. As we are from where you are from.
And where is that?
I'm going to mutter, I'm not sure this tone is going to work out for us.
The one on your right hand side whispers towards the center, we should tell them. We should tell them. The one on the opposite side says, no, we'll die. We can't tell them. We don't have the energy. And again,
What can we do to remember?
They start to argue again momentarily back and forth in that strange language. Before there's what's up?
Oh, did they hear my question?
They did hear your question, and that's when you start to hear that arguing. It goes back and forth pretty consistently, and it's anytime, even if you would try to speak up, it like roars over your words, and then it again falls silent, just very suddenly, like instantly falls silent. And they speak in unison again. We have decided to show you.
Oh boy.
This will be the last action we take before we fade away.
Have you made certain that we are who you think we are?
You are. We can use the last of our strength to show you and to provide you with gifts.
Why would you do this for us?
You are the last of the council. There are others, but we know not where they are. We have to trust you. We will
And I
show
assume
you.
once you show us, we'll understand some task we need to fulfill.
We'll show you who you were and what you're doing here, and then you must decide.
The rest will follow, I assume.
Was Kavala a part of this council?
Kavala was of our world. He was not of the council.
Did he know who we were? Is that why he sent us here?
Yes.
I see.
Am I the only one that seems confused with, like, a head full of memories of past life stuff to be cramming in a possible secret life that I don't know about?
No, you're not alone, Crix, but I can't make any decisions until, I guess, we hear about or see what they want to show us. Being in the underworld is already strange enough. I wouldn't be surprised if there was other strange things happening around us.
Alright, but if this opens up memories of me being a diabolical leader and destroying the world or some shit, it's on you.
Well, Crix, that wouldn't surprise me if that was the case anyway.
It wouldn't surprise me either.
Rick's hiding a couple past life memories, so we don't know if. So they start to speak to each other again in that same language, back and forth for just a few seconds, and again they stop and speak in unison to you. Said, "This world is not your world. It has been your world, but it is a prison. You don't belong here."
Do you mean the underworld or do you mean Theros?
We do not speak its name.
Okay, so I'll take that as an answer.
There was a great war, and we were left dying. A creature of your world found us and brought us here to rot. Even to speak, to communicate to you, drains what left is of our energy. To show you your past will take the last of it.
Well, if I trust you have great wisdom, so if you think this is the right choice, then I, for one, will accept. And I look around to the rest of the group to see what people think.
If we spend
I don't
more time
understand
talking,
why they would do it, but if that's what they wish, then
Obviously, there's some kind of greater purpose that they wish to show us.
if they're forced to expend any more energy talking to us, then we might not see what we need to see.
Yes, and if it's true that we were once their compatriots, then I can understand why they would want to show us. But again, we won't know until we see what it is.
Rex.
Is there anything we need to worry about? Any side effects of showing us our past memories?
It will be shocking.
Well,
I'm
I
alright, Sean.
accept.
Do you consent? All of you.
yes.
We've come this far.
I just nod.
Okay.
I'm not against it.
You hear an almost sad sound from all three of them. It's like a hum that protrudes from the entirety of the cavern and starts to shake the room around you. The circle around you begins to spin faster, and the fog from below the ground starts to rise up and overtake the group of you until you lose sight completely, and you're lost in a grayish glow of that yellowish energy as well. It sort of courses through and blinds you. You all see something different. I'm going to go over each of your visions as they're given to you. We're going to start with Tacitus.
Oh boy.
So, Tacitus, as your vision returns to you, you are in a very celestial body, almost. It reminds you of that Nyx energy of Theros. You're floating in that space for some time.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No problem. You're in that celestial-like body, that very Nyx-like energy of Theros, just surrounded by
Okay.
darkness and stars, floating alone.
Does this remind me of like when the ship initially went to I guess initially went into the underworld?
to Nerano?
Like what the
No. This is very different. This is almost as if you're locked amongst the constellations of the sky, just another star in the sky, and you're lost in it. You can't see anything else. So all around you is just stars and space and celestial bodies. You are in chains, bound, completely unable to move, and very suddenly you're pulled back. You start to see things that you'd forgotten, lives that you've had. You know that they're lives that you've had, and as you pass by, you remember bits and pieces of them, not all of them, but they're different people that you were. On Theros, on the plane of Theros, you pass by one and then another. You see yourself as different creatures. You're a minotaur for a time, then you're a human being. For another time, you're what appears to be a Triton. And you go through multiples of these until you pass by maybe 30 or 40 of them. Until you are pulled back into a memory where you're dropped on the ground and you're no longer in chains. You seem to be amidst some great battle. You can see the gods of Theros around you, Keranos and Heliod, Perforos, in very constellation-like forms, protruding from the sky and from the horizon, doing battle with strange creatures up in the air. Massive, massive creatures. You get the sense that they are on your side. They're supporting you.
The gods?
No, the
Or
creatures in the air. They fly in almost serpent-like patterns, and they are doing battle with the gods themselves. As you're on the ground amidst some grand army, you feel a figure next to you. You know this figure. You recognize it as an Oni, a warlord that you served at some point in your past. You recall the name Shimatsu. I'm going to type it into the chat for you as well. And you know that this was somebody that meant a lot to you. You were a ranking member of this individual's forces. You're thrown back away from that battle, and you see other memories. You see times that you were defending him.
Just a quick question.
Hmm?
While I was in that memory, if I look down at like my hands, what do they look like?
Your hands are armored, very gold and reddish glowing armor. Nothing that
Is
you
there anything
recognize
that
with
like
Theros.
shows my reflection?
No. The
Okay,
battle
that's all.
itself, you're basically positioned on a hill overlooking most of the battle, surrounded by an army. You know that you have some part to play in this battle, or some part that you have played. But you're pulled out of that memory into several others. You're seen defending Shimatsu, this Oni warlord. Again, somebody of great importance that you cared about tremendously. You can't remember, is it family? Is it friend? Is it ally? You can't remember, but you know that they were incredibly important to you, and somebody that you wanted to protect at all costs. You're pulled forward back through this memory. You see a world that you don't recognize, but you do. You know that you lived in it. You recognize it. It feels more like home than any place you've ever been. It feels comfortable and safe. You are very quickly pulled through the memories of almost an entire life. You assume that you were somewhere in your 20s or 30s about the time that this massive battle took place, and you're pulled forward to these memories back into that battle. The battle itself now seems to be coming to an end. You see everybody around you dead. There are some still fighting, struggling for their lives, but the Theros gods are clearly winning. They are slaughtering what's left of your forces. You see somebody being wrapped in chains and pulled up into the sky. You see the massive form of Mogus, the god of slaughter. And the individual that he's pulling up, that he's chained, you recognize as your sister, somebody that you cared about greatly. You can't remember her name. You can't remember her face. You can't really make it out in the images of what you're seeing, but you know it's your sister, and that she's being taken from you and chained by this god. You rush forward and leap into the air and try to reach her and grab her to save her. But as you do, from the opposite portion of Mogus himself, chains are whipped off from the surface of the ground and into you, wrap around you, pull you back down, forcing you onto your knees as you watch your sister pulled up into the sky, into darkness. For a moment, the entire battlefield is still as bodies begin to slowly fade and disappear, almost turning to very dark black dust, and fading until you're just left on that field alone. Over top of you, you see Mogus, massive constellation form of Mogus, looks down at you and snorts violently, lifts his hand and just thrusts his palm into you as you dissipate from this vision and this dream. and you're thrown forward back through all the lives that you've experienced on the world of Theros until you arrive back in that fog. Any questions?
I mean, see that image that Varn posted a few sessions ago? How about that?
Gotcha.
Um, this, I guess the thing that I experienced the longest of, was it anything like, was there any like discernible landmarks? Anything that looked particularly weird about the landscape, or was it just like sort of a blurry mess?
For the most part, it was a blurry mess. You could focus on certain things. I'd say in that battle scene, you can recall a massive rift in the sky where you could see the world of Theros through that rift. So you were on someplace else, some other plane, and
Okay.
that's where you know was your origin point, was where you were first born, where your soul originated, was through that on that world before you were dragged and chained and pulled to Theros.
Did I see the only person I saw was my sister. I didn't see Shimatsu.
You saw the form of Shimatsu, which was very samurai-like, this massive hulking form. Uh, roughly, you saw him just the couple times, once on that battlefield and in some of your brief memories as you were defending him against forces that you didn't recognize. But again, massive, like 12, 13 feet tall, hulking figure, horns in different places, but he was very, very heavily armored, so it was hard to make out his form. But even coming out of it, as you're left in that fog, sort of while everybody else is experiencing their visions as well, and they're coming out of their own, you can remember him now. Thinking about him, you can make out, his form and his image and his visage, and you have bits and pieces of that memory stuck with you, and it is traumatizing. It feels real, and suddenly you realize that these memories were stolen from you, hidden from you, and you
Was
know that
I
you've been
ever
good.
was I ever able to move?
No, you had very limited control during this vision. So you could move different parts of your body, you can look around, but for the most part, you were just experiencing it.
Okay. But it felt like my body was my own.
Yes. You know that
Okay.
form that you were in that vision, was you. The original you, the origin point for your soul. You couldn't remember your name. You couldn't remember anything beyond the point that that's where you started. That's your original world, the place where you came from. You're not from Theros.
Okay.
And by you, I mean,
Um
your soul, the absolute definition of you. You know that you've had other lives here on Theros, many other lives since that you've sort of saw very brief visions of it. You were ripped violently, very quickly through those memories, but you know that you've
if
had dozens of lives on Theros that you've lived.
of those other lives on Theros, were any of those like things that I would remember encountering, um, I guess, as Tacitus?
Um, I mean, not the
Like
only.
places or people or like notable figures?
I'd say you could recognize some of the locales probably that you had lived in Melitus at some point. You would have memories that you were a politician maybe of some kind. You have memories as a soldier in Sutessa. You're not sure exactly when or how you experienced these lives, but you know that it was you.
Okay. Okay. I don't think I have any other questions.
Okay. So we're going to shift over to Elwyn's perspective.
Hello, it's me.
So Elwyn,
It's your boy.
you are also pulled into that same celestial body that I described for Tacitus.
Uh-huh.
You see the celestial bodies and the constellations of the gods of Theros surrounding you, also in chains, bound, completely as you float there in silence. In a very similar fashion again, you are very suddenly, after some amount of time, you're not sure how long you're floating there, some amount of time you are suddenly pulled violently and quickly as you see memories of your past lives here on Theros. You look very similar in all of these memories. You are the same sort of winged creature. Every now and then you take a slightly different form. Your skin looks different, your eyes are different. You live different lives every single time. Sometimes they are dark and violent. Sometimes you fight for justice. Sometimes you live peacefully without ever experiencing pain or combat on the fringes of the world in Theros. You see yourself sailing out on the sea. You see yourself as a merchant in a city. Very brief, violent memories that you're pulled through very quickly. You know that you've had multiple families in the past. Sometimes, though, you lived alone, completely void of connection. And you're pulled until finally everything stops. You're sitting in a very beautiful palace on a lower throne. To your left-hand side, there's a very massive white marble throne amidst this beautiful golden white palace, vast with massive pillars that rise up. There's waterfalls and spiraling blue and red energy that travel through the waters that flow through multiple locations within this chamber that you're in. You recognize this as home. It feels like home. And looking to your left, on that throne is a massive, beautiful winged creature. You definitely recognize it as a familial connection. You're not sure if it's mother or if it's father, but you know it's one of the two, and you can't quite make it out. As you try to focus on it, the image blurs and fades, almost staticky at times, as you struggle to pull the memories back. But you know that it's something that's very, very important to you. They're adorned in this shining silver armor. They have the body of almost a massive tiger, but their face is fully armored in a beautiful gold mask. But everything else is just this glowing, almost liquid silver that glitters in the light.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Are there other thrones?
There's another one to the right of you. It's smaller. It lies empty at the moment. And then you note to the opposite side of that large throne with that creature sitting atop it, there's another large throne with another creature that you cannot make out. You struggle to, but you can't quite make it out. You can see the blurred visage of it.
Opposite of it, you said?
Yeah, so on its left.
Oh, okay, like beside it almost.
Yep, beside it on the opposite side.
Okay.
You're pulled up, as in this memory, you stand up and you walk to a balcony overlooking this beautiful city, and you can clearly see that this city that you're overlooking is, again, beautiful white marble, golden structures with beautiful adornments. The world is beautiful, blue skies. You're traveling amidst the clouds, and you can feel the city moving and floating. And looking around, you realize that you're in some sort of city in the sky that's flying and traveling in the air.
Is the palace that I'm in the highest point in the city?
Yes, you can overlook the entirety of the city from there. You look, and you know that you're somewhere centered in this city. You know this city very well. You remember it. It's your home. You've never really known anything but this city.
Okay.
So as you fade out of this memory, you're suddenly located in a glade. The world spins and shifts around you very, very violently. You're standing alone in a very empty glade. You fall to your knees as the sun rises above you, then quickly sets, and the moon rises above you and quickly sets, and it spins and spins and spins faster and faster and faster and faster as you kneel there, as time goes on and on and on and on. You feel yourself growing as things become more chaotic. Around you, the images shift. Your point in the world changes. You find yourself back in that city for a moment as that beautiful palace is being attacked. It's almost electrified. The waterfalls are electrified as they fall, as you can see blood in the water. The walls crack and crumble. The building itself is being torn down by something massive. You can
So
see.
Sorry.
What's your question?
I was gonna say, you said that there's like lightning elements to this attack.
Yes, crackling lightning. You can see it from the outside, and you can see it traveling through that water of those beautiful waterfalls that you'd seen in the previous image.
Gotcha.
The massive door at the end of the chamber is being something is being thrust against it, and you can feel the door shaking and the ground shaking of whatever's trying to force its way in. You can hear echoing voices and shouts of individuals that you recognize as some form of guards in this palace. Their role was to defend you and your
Do
family.
I recognize what language is being spoken?
You recognize the language as Celestial.
Okay.
And it's something that you've carried with you throughout all of your other lives in Theros as well.
Right.
These guards are overtaken, the door is smashed open, and you see the visage of Heliod thrusting through, firing off golden beams of light that are just absolutely melting to dust these guards. And you feel members of your family and people that you care about being destroyed and decimated by the power of Heliod.
Which god was Heliod again? That was the god
The god of the sun.
the sun, right?
You know,
Okay.
Heliod considers himself to be the greatest of all the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Very arrogant in that way. You feel yourself overcome with fear, and you begin running off to the side. You run out to the balcony that you had been on before, and you see the city itself crumbling. You see the form of Keranos looming over the city, launching lightning bolts in multiple locations. You see the form of Thassa, this massive serpent-like sea creature, very Triton-like, moving and thrusting a trident that's throwing waves from below the clouds up and over the city and crashing down into it. The city itself is starting to tilt and fall out of the sky. You're pulled out of it into what looks like a council chamber, a meeting chamber of some kind. It's a round, open room, and there are others in this room that you recognize, people that you trust, that you value. You can't make out their visage, you can't make out their faces or what they look like, but you know that this was some sort of a force that you'd been a part of. The room itself is very dark. The mood is very grim. You feel rage and sadness almost completely encapsulating you. You remember the name Hikari. I'm going to drop it in chat as well. You know that it had something to do with the room that you're in, but you can't quite identify who, what, or why. But you know
Like
that
I don't know what Hikari means necessarily. Like I don't know
it's
if it applies to a person
you know that
or
it's a name.
okay, but just not if it's the name of a person or a place or a
You
thing.
you would know that it's a name of a person or a creature of
Okay.
some kind that was very important
Okay.
to you.
Okay.
For a moment, the chamber becomes very cacophonous, and there's very loud roars of anger, and it becomes an argument for a time. Before it falls to a silence, and you draw your weapon, and the entire room draws their weapons, and you meet in the center of the room, and you know that you made some sort of a pact in this room, some sort of a promise, as you're yanked and pulled out of that memory.
Can I? What was the weapon that I was holding?
You can't quite make it out.
Was it a sword or was it like a spear or?
You can assume it was a blade of some kind, but you couldn't quite make out the weapon. It wasn't something that you were looking at.
Okay.
Directly in that memory.
Gotcha.
But you can make a note of it as something that you can attempt to pursue the memory of in the future if you'd like.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're pulled out of that memory, and you see yourself on a battlefield. That rift that I'd mentioned in the description of Tacitus's memories, you see that same rift in the sky, and the creatures flowing through that rift you recognize as of your world. You see them flowing out of the sky, out of that rift, into combat with the gods of Theros in the sky. And you yourself are in the midst of this battlefield, covered in blood. You can feel it all over yourself. You feel exhausted, but you are filled with rage and sadness and sorrow at that same time. You know that you fought in this battle for quite some time. You're pulled through the memory of it very quickly as you are successfully slaughtering the enemy very well. You can't quite make out who or what they are, but you recognize the like hoplite armor of Theros soldiers. And I'd say you can recognize this armor from being of multiple nations. So this is, you were fighting some sort of alliance of some kind of individuals within Theros.
Now, the creatures of my world were coming out of the rift,
Yes.
so I can assume that I also came through this rift.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, cool.
You're pulled through the entirety of the battle until it tilts, and everything very quickly fades. Almost everybody on this field is dead. You're alone, still fighting against mass forces, as you become too exhausted to continue and you stop fighting. But for some reason, the enemies around you just encircle you and back away. You look up into the sky, and you can see that same creature, that silver armored winged creature in the throne room that you know is of your family and you recognize. You get the immediate belief that it's your father, but you're not sure. But that creature is alongside the Theros gods, having forged some sort of alliance with them. You feel the sting of that betrayal in you, in your chest and in your heart, and it's followed you throughout all of your lives on Theros. But you are immediately wrapped in chains and almost pulled through the ground into darkness. You feel yourself enchained as you're pulled forward again through all of those lives that you experienced on Theros in different forms, again looking very much like yourself, with minor differences as you progress through. You know that these are all memories that had been sealed away or taken from you as you're pulled back into that fog within the Tomb of the Elder Gods. Any questions about your experiences?
Yeah, I think as Elwyn gets out of this experience, the first immediate thing he's going to attempt to do is try and reconcile the memory of his current life, like the betrayal of his father in his current life, and whether it's true or whether it might just be a lingering effect of that earlier betrayal.
That's something that you can explore for sure. We're not going to go over it right now, but it's something you can explore in the future if you'd like. You can make a note of that.
Am I able to like at least have a sense or a feeling perhaps?
I'd say you've had that sting of that betrayal throughout every single one of your lives, and you know it in your heart. You know that you've always felt the sting of that betrayal. You're not sure if it's carried through in every single one of your lives, if you've been betrayed, individual times throughout your entire experience on Theros as you experience these different lives. But you always felt that.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And I'd say,
Um,
as a note for that as well, you can never remember your parents in any of these lives. Any of the
neither of
lives
my
that you've had on
parents?
Theros, you can never remember your parents. It's like
Like
neither of
neither of
them.
them? My mom. Okay.
You try to recall it as you sort of are thrust back into yourself, and you realize that it's something that's always been there. It's like you try to pull those memories from the depths of your mind, and you're just left with blurred images with questions more than anything else.
Okay. I think any other questions I have will probably be things that need to be explored later. So
Okay.
I'll save them.
All right. We're gonna move on to our buddy Crix. Crix, are you prepared? Was that a yes, Farn? Sorry, I think you cut out.
Yeah, I'm just snacking.
Okay, good. So as that fog overtakes you, Crix, you're again in that same celestial body that I described before. Beautiful celestial space that you're in, but you again feel chained and bound, completely unable to move, as you're just floating in this space amongst the constellations of the gods. Again, you're floating there for a time before you are very quickly and violently pulled back through time, through your own memory. With Crix in particular, you can remember these lives vividly, very suddenly. Every single one of the lives that you've experienced are crystal clear. You know every single friend that you've ever had. You know every single person you've ever killed. You remember your families and your siblings, the individuals that you've interacted with all of these lives very clear, very vividly, and you are moved very emotionally in a lot of different ways as you're suddenly thrust through these memories very quickly. You know that you've also had different forms. You've never been in this body before. You've always had different forms. You were a Goliath in one life. You were a human in another. Many, many, many experiences. Again, dozens of lives that you're sort of pulled and thrust through before you're again dropped into what you know is your origin point. You know exactly who you were. You know that you were a bounty hunter of some kind in this world. You try to remember the name of it, but it's the one thing that escapes you, the name of this world. But you know that it's your home. You know that this was someplace that this was where you were born. The very first thing you experience in the world that means the most to you, and you know that it is not Theros.
You son of a bitch.
Again, you you know that you were a bounty hunter of some kind. You were feared by almost everybody in this world, but in a very respected way. You know that you killed many individuals and creatures in this world, and you were sought out to do so very prominently. You had values you respected very deeply. You didn't kill innocents. You killed only violent entities, dangerous creatures, criminals, evil individuals. And you had a laundry list of these, the ones that you've gone through and gone down. You know that you are a servant to the gods of this world on some level, that they would seek you out when they needed some important piece of action done. And you had a very good relationship with them. And in return for your deeds, for your hunts, you were given great gifts, and you had an incredible life on this world. You are thrust into one particular memory in this old world, your origin world. You're in a massive court. You're standing alone in front of these massive, majestic creatures. You immediately recognize them as something that these elder gods that you were in this chamber would have looked like in their lives, in their original purpose in the world that you came from, that they claimed you came from. But there's many of them, hundreds. You know that they requested something of you, that you only had one purpose, one thing on your mind when you were pulled from this existence into Theros, and that was to kill every single one of the gods of Theros. It was a mission that you were given. It was very important to you, and it was important to the safety of your world, the safety of anything that you cared about, everything that you cared about. It had to be done. And you remember setting to task doing this. You remember traveling between worlds through a variety of methods and failing to remain in the world of Theros long enough to complete your mission. You're always thrust out and pulled back. You know that you were attempting this job long before this war started. As you're pulled into the memory of the war itself, you see yourself fighting many battles in many locations, not just in this old world, your origin world, but also in Theros as well. And you can see yourself for a time bouncing back and forth between the two worlds, completing missions, attempting to reach the gods, attempting to reach the plane of Nyx, something that you continuously failed to do. To the point where you again reach the same massive battle that I described for the others. You know that you were a part of an alliance of some kind, some elite group that had been finally formed as a final defense of your world. You know that you felt a certain sting of pain as you had failed in the missions that you were sought to undertake. You hadn't been able to reach Nyx, you hadn't been able to reach the gods themselves, and it culminated in what was a final devastating battle. You recognize the name Zenowasa. This was a name that was very, very, very important to you and very important to your mission. I'm typing that in chat as well. You recognize them as somebody that you'd sought, you needed to find, but never quite could. But you know that they were the key to something very important for your mission that you were given by these old gods. You remember the term soul guide. This was something very important to you as a person. You don't believe that you yourself were a soul guide, but the term soul guide and whatever individual held that title was very important and vital. But you can't quite wrap your head around why or how. Do you have any questions yet?
No. I just find it amusing that an old character I played lived multiple lives, and he was a
Yes.
bounty hunter. So this is interesting.
So you see yourself on that battlefield. You know that this is the final battle. This was like a last stand sort of a situation, and you were giving everything that you possibly could give. You don't know how many soldiers and warriors that you killed on that field. There's countless numbers, but in the end, you remember the loss, the sting of defeat. You remember being one of the last ones left on that field as the gods of Theros loomed above, arrogant and victorious, judging you and what was left of your kind. You remember that rift being closed slowly, almost like a zipper, as the last vision of your world faded away and became just the skies of Theros. As you felt the chains of the gods themselves form around you, constrict tightly, and pull you into darkness. And again, you're thrust out through those old memories, through the repeated memories of your lives in Theros, gifting you back very clear images, very resolute images of the things that you experienced in those lives, and unlocking those memories for you as you are dropped back into that foggy chamber, the Tomb of the Elder Gods. Any final questions, Crix?
No, there's no real questions I want to ask about.
Okay, just let me know if you need anything for like note purposes or whatever. Which brings us to Briar. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So Briar, you as well. You're pulled into that same celestial body, the constellations of the gods of Theros surrounding you in the sky. You recognize immediately you're bound and chained, constricted very tightly as you're floating in this space, unable to move any portion of yourself. You can't blink even. You're just left drifting. As again, like previously, you are very suddenly and violently and quickly pulled back through the memories of your past lives here on Theros. Again, you see dozens of them. You, as similar to many of the others aside from Owen, you experience yourself in different forms, different bodies. You were different people, different species, different genders. As you traverse through time and see these individuals that you were, every one of the lives that you experienced, you hold on to the memory that everything felt wrong. Every one of these lives was a struggle because this was a place that you feel like you didn't belong. You didn't fit in this place. You shouldn't be in this place. And it was always something that you felt. You could never really understand why. You can never identify specifically for what reason you had these thoughts. But it was almost from conception to the death of each one of these lives. You always felt out of place in Theros. And as you're pulled through these lives, you're dropped in that same Sky City that I had explained to Elwyn. But you're in a very different place in that city. You appear to be in what looks like a barracks. You're in an area where you are surrounded by other soldiers, armored soldiers, that each one of them has massive, beautiful winged creatures, almost phoenix-like in nature. They glow with orange and gold energy. You have one that meant the absolute world to you. This creature you recognize with the name Shorikai. I'm going to spell it out for you in the chat as well.
That was the creature's name?
Yes. Did I spell that right? Nope. I was just one-handed typing from a distance. 1 second. I'm going to edit it really quick so I don't fuck that up. Okay. Again, Shorikai, you know that you raised Shorikai from its birth. It was an egg that was gifted to you by your family. You know that you were some prominent soldier in this specific, almost Air Force. The individuals that you trained with rode these creatures into combat, into battle. You were bonded with them from birth. And you remember being bonded to Shorikai from early on. You were the first thing that Shorikai saw when they were born, and you never spent a day without Shorikai. You remember flying over the world in various places, and again, you're seeing this strange world that is nothing like Theros, but feels like home. You know that this is someplace that meant everything to you. It was beautiful. You know that there was violence and darkness in that world, just like was in Theros, but it wasn't the same. It was very different. You remember that you served an emperor of some kind, that you were a part of a very elite force that flew on the backs of these creatures to combat large threats. You have memories of very successful battles, flying through the airs in the midst of these battles, and you and Shorikai taking down numerous enemies on your world specifically. Before the memories start to darken, and you have the emergence for the very first time in your life, in this life, of fear. You remember the first time that you saw the rift open in the sky, and these strange, godlike creatures emerge into your world. You know that your force were the first ones that were requested to combat this. You remember flying towards the rift, many of your allies and friends being struck out of the sky, them and their fellow beasts being killed, being destroyed by massive bolts of lightning and bolts of golden light being thrown through the rift into your world. You remember struggling and fighting for everything that you were and everything that you had, and being able to successfully push these creatures and these godlike creatures back to the edges of that rift. You remember battling for, God, you can't remember exactly how long, it felt like years, to maintain the defense of that rift itself. You remember surviving countless battles and losing countless friends and loved ones. And you remember finally one last push, one last surge of going through the rift, experiencing the world of Theros and this massive battle that I've described with everybody here. You're pulled back out of the battle momentarily as you're just seeing the brief first moments of it as you're passing through that rift, and other members of your race and your world pass through the rift and are beginning to battle on the grounds below the actual soil of Theros. You're pulled back into memories of your family. You know that all members of your family had been involved in this force. They all had creatures just like Shorikai. They were bonded with these creatures going back generations. This was something that was important to your family and important to you. It was the most important thing. Growing up, you couldn't wait to have Shorikai. You couldn't wait to have your creature and your bond. It was basically the only thing you cared about in your life, and it's what you trained for from the moment you had the ability to conceive the thought of what you wanted to do with your future. This is what you wanted. This is what you did, and you excelled at it. You were one of the best. For a moment, everything is very peaceful in your memories. You spent a lot of time learning and training in this world. You get the sense that you met this emperor at some time, and you formed a friendship until something violent involving that rift pulled the two of you apart. You can't remember their face, you can't remember their name, but you know that you lost the connection to that individual when that rift opened and this war started. You're pulled into a court-like chamber, a circular chamber, where it's very round and there are other individuals around you. You recognize many of them, and you feel the connection of other members in your party here. You see this room clearer than I have described it before for the others. You can make out the essence of Tacitus. He looks different. You can't quite make out his face, but he looks different, but he feels like Tacitus. You know that this is Tacitus. He had a different name, a different purpose, a different origin in this world, but you know that's the same soul You recognize Crix, the soul of Crix, the essence of Crix. Again, looks different. Different name, different life. But you know that that's the same entity that is in your party currently. And you see the visage of Elwyn, very similar to what he looks like on the world of Theros in the current life. Same wingspan, same visage, slightly different. The ears are a little different, the face, the hair is a little different, but you can see him very clearly, as the others are kind of blurry. Elwyn you can see very clearly, and you know that whatever his name was and whatever point he was in this location, that Elwyn was a very important part of whatever group this was. You can make out others in the group as well. 6 others in this chamber with you. You can't remember their names, but you know that you were recruited to this force specifically and for a very important reason, and it was concerning the final defense of your world. And you are pulled from that chamber back out. Do you have any questions at this point, by the way? You can feel the...
No.
Okay. So you're pulled back out of that chamber and further into that massive battle. You're flying over the fields of Theros. You can feel the battle going well for a time, and you can see your allies in their locations on the ground. And you know that there was some plan of action, something that the group of you were trying to complete. And you're very quickly pulled through the battle as you can feel things start to fall apart and start to fail. You remember and feel the heat and the burn of being struck by a massive bolt of lightning from the visage of Keranos far above you. And you feel yourself crash down into the battlefield below. You have the memory of the death of Shurikai. You remember crawling to Shurikai from the ground where you had fallen, resting your hand on their head as they drifted from the world, and feeling that pain and that rage. And you remember throwing yourself up, drawing a blade of some kind, and rushing towards the form of Keranos as chains sprouted up from the ground, completely surrounded, constricted you, and dragged you down to your knees. You're held there for quite some time as the remainder of the forces of your world are destroyed. You also have the image of looking over your shoulder and feeling that rift close and seeing the world that you'd come from for the very last time as it seals over and forms the sky of Theros, with the gods themselves looming over and judging you. For a moment, everything is left silent. You notice specifically the gaze of Heliod, focused and pivoted on you specifically for some reason. All you can feel, though, is just this rage and sorrow at your losses as you're pulled down into the darkness, thrust again back through the memories of all your lives that you had on Theros, and left back in that foggy chamber of the Elder Gods. Any questions?
I think the only one would be so in that one circular room, I was able to discern, like, I recognize these souls as people I know in Theros. Did she have the same impression for the Emperor?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, anybody, before we regroup, so to speak?
Nope.
Okay. So, as you all come to, you're all pulled out of these memories simultaneously. The fog around you starts to dissipate and lower, back down to the ground where it had originated from. The forms of those elder gods you can see are falling apart now. Where they were once solid forms, pieces of them are dripping off, almost as if they're melting right in front of you. You also hear from the labyrinth behind you that you had come from, and from also above, violent shaking as if there's battle going on somewhere above and behind you. As you come to and you're wrestling with the memories of the experiences you just had, are dropped back in this world, almost not feeling like yourselves. The echoed voices of those 3 elder gods speak to you in unison. There's almost a raspy like breath as you can feel that they are dying and struggling to even speak to you at all at this point. They say, "We leave you with gifts tokens of what you were before you ended here. Use them to break your chains. There's still time to reopen the rift. And they fade.
Elwyn, for one, is just speechless. Kind of in shock.
Did they indicate like a location with the gifts, or
So looking at their forms, sort of like wondering what they had meant. Looking at their forms, you see that they're decaying and cracking. As they dissipate, you see that some essence of what they were beginning is beginning to take form, and it seems to be taking form of several weapons. And each one of you is drawn towards a specific one of these weapons.
Mm.
Do you want to approach?
I'm gonna approach whatever one is drawing my attention.
Okay.
How do I? Oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, how do I feel in my body right now?
Completely out of place. You, as Tacitus, you know that this is the life that you've lived, and it's a real life, and you're a real flesh and blood person. But at the same time, you know that it's a lie. It's not what you really are. It's not what you really were, and you have. I'm not going to say the memory, but it's a feeling as though you've been a prisoner, and this body itself almost feels like a prison at this point. But you know that within you are still that same soul that you were on your origin world that you've come from. But nothing of Theros feels right to you. And that goes for all of you.
Okay. I think Tacitus's like response at this point is probably to spit on the ground and snort. And then like stand up.
Okay. So for Elwyn, as you approach, you are drawn specifically lying amidst the remains of the central elder god is a beautiful, gleaming, glinting greatsword. Glowing silver. The handle is white and gold. You remember this blade. It feels like something that you wielded. It feels like it was from your world. It was something that belonged to you originally. And you know that it's something that meant a lot to you and meant a lot to your family. You know that its name was Kieran Sworn. I'm going to type
Here? Okay, thank
that
you.
in the chat. Yep.
It's like,
Kieran Sworn.
Here in Sworn. Ooh,
It's the name of this
I like
blade.
that.
And
It's a
as
nice
you
name.
grasp it and lift it up, it glows almost like a star in the sky. It's beautiful and brilliant. I will send you the information on this blade. I'll send you all your information on these weapons to pick them up.
Sick.
We'll go. So Tacitus, you're drawn specifically to an axe. Do you want to approach and grasp it as well?
Yeah.
Okay. You recognize the axe. It's this dark steel weapon. It has a very cosmic glow to it. It glints with almost green energy. The steel itself is black as night, like very dark. And it's that green glinting is not ominous, but powerful. And you know that it holds the energy of that creature that you had served that meant so much to you, Shimatsu. And you'd name this axe Shimatsu for that individual. And I'm going to send you information on this axe as well. But it's the same name that I typed in there originally for you. Crix, you are drawn off to the left side, Elder God. Amidst the remains of this god lies a great bow.
I figured.
Dark wood in nature, with a very almost purple gold electrified energy surging through it. Every now and then it crackles and sparks amidst the remains of the god that forged it. You know that it was called Soul Guide. I don't think I had to type that for you. It's exactly how it sounds. It was called Soul Guide, and it was something that you'd used in your life many, many, many times. you know that you forged it yourself in a very special place on your world, and it was with an energy that was gifted to you by the gods that you'd served for a job that you completed. And Briar, you're drawn to the elder god on the right side. In the remains of that god, you find twin daggers. As you lift them up, they emit petals, almost like cherry blossom petals. As you sort of move them around, those petals wisp into the air and fade in a very beautiful nature. And the steel of the weapon is glowing with a reddish, like almost rose-colored metal, and it hums as you move it very lightly.
Hell yeah.
Epic.
Which god was mine near again?
What's that good?
I said, which god was mine near again?
The center. Yours and Elwin's were both in the center. And Briar, the name of those daggers are Saiba, and I typed that into the chat for you as well. And you also recognize, all of you recognize these as weapons that you'd carried in that final battle and that you'd carried through most of your lives. As you're gathered around, sort of inspecting these weapons, you start to hear shuffling from the outside, from that archway that you'd come in from. Again, you're still very mystified by this whole experience, but as you're starting to come to and get your wits back about you, you are again reminded that there is some sort of battle happening. The room shakes every now and then, dust coming off the walls and from the floor, and sounds of combat are very faint, but are almost all around you. And again, you hear some sort of shuffling, like very hurried running footsteps coming in from the archway that you came in originally.
I want to look to the archway.
Okay.
Is that fog that was there before gone?
Almost completely. It's still there just a bit, but it's very slowly fading out of the room. Running into the room.
When I...
What's up?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, when I picked up that great sword, was there anything I felt from my sunblade and my other blade?
Not at all. And I will say that those blades themselves feel very unnatural to you at this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So coming through the archway is that goblin, that servant of Sevian. He looks like he's got splattered blood on him, and he's just running for his life. And as he comes into the room, he dives to the side and hides, pressing himself against the wall of the chamber, just like huffing as if he's been running for his life.
The goblin?
Yes. Scum was his name.
How did he get
Scum.
here?
I want to approach him.
Did he see us, or was he just like trying to find a place to hide?
He sees you, but he's still like, he seems terrified. As you approach, you see another form coming out of the fog from the room, and you recognize the sort of larger winged form of Sevian Fate himself. He sort of struggles into the room. He stumbles a bit as he catches onto the wall of the archway, and starts just laughing, like as he spots the group of you. Like, made it all the way here, did you? And he's sort of clutching his side, like he's in pain a bit.
You look like you've seen better days.
It's not my best. It's not my best. I see you found my old friends.
Friends, huh?
They finally moved on, did they?
They did. What's going on?
Here.
A number of things. There's a bit of an uprising. Minotaurs have risen up against me. Somehow broke my spell. I don't know how. But they, well, they're taking over.
So your entire guard has revolted against you.
Yeah, and also, Erebos might be looking for me. He might be here. I believe he's looking for the group of you as well.
Well, can I take it that that means our contract is more or less over with at this point?
You're all free to go. The rest of your crew was already, I don't know, rescued. You can call it. They're gone. But I believe you're
Contract is
safe.
nullified.
Contract is nullified. No contract. You don't owe me anything.
And do you think you'll be safe down here from all of your pursuers?
He approaches a group of you. He casts what looks like a healing spell on him. He glows green for a moment as he heals some wound on his side. Shakes himself off and tries to straighten out his suit, which is cut and ripped in multiple locations. Like he's definitely been fighting for his life as well. Maybe not in as bad shape as the goblin. He doesn't really seem scared. He's huffing a little bit, like he's exerted something, but definitely not in as bad shape as Scum. But he approaches a group of you now a little better, walking a little straighter, as if he's healed whatever damage he had taken. What was your question for him? Sorry, Owen.
I said, and do you think you'll be safe down here from your pursuers?
No, absolutely not. But I suppose I can help you escape.
Wait,
Help
what's
us.
You said
happened
that the
to
crew
your...
was.
Sorry, go ahead.
You said the crew was rescued. How long ago?
I don't know. A few hours ago. It's been quite the fight.
By who? Who rescued them?
Friends of yours, I think. Vance?
I see. So she made her move.
You're
All
planning to
right.
help us.
He passes by you and he looks to those the remnants of the elder gods, and you see a little bit of sadness in his face. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna help you.
Why would you do that?
Well, I wasn't always the damned king.
Is that so?
I'm very old, but I've been around for some time here in Theros, and I brought them down here to protect them, these old gods.
Are you of their world?
No, no. But I wasn't always a damned king, but I was always a king. But better.
Whose side were you on? The gods of Theros?
Oh, never. I always hated those fuckers.
Good enough for me.
Inside check.
Go ahead.
Even though he's like the hardest person to read ever. Fucking 12.
Seems legit. I mean, looking at him, seeing the remnants of those old gods, he seems pretty emotional. For the first time, like he's still a little bit of that same very haughty, arrogant essence that you'd seen, in your time here in the arena. But you also do see some genuine sorrow in his eyes.
What happened to your dragon rider person? Did he run off?
You talking about Benavra? I don't know where he's at. Probably fighting against me or doing something to screw me over, like everybody else at the moment.
Fair enough.
I kind of.
So how do you?
I guess I deserve it.
So
Oh,
was
I
this
won't.
one final stand for you?
He looks back at the archway, and as he's looking back, you can almost see like a purplish glow from the archway back there starting to emanate. And you see that the fog on the outside is starting to turn black as well, as he sort of smirks at it. Like, I don't remember everything about who I used to be. The underworld does things to you. The gods, they shape you and scar you and change you how they please. It's their little games. In the end, you become you become something else. Me, I became Sevian Fate, the damned king of the arena. I don't remember how long I've been doing this, but I don't think it's who I want to be anymore. So yeah. He looks off to the back, and that orange sort of glow from within his body glows a little brighter for a moment, and the back of the chamber begins to creak, and you see a shift open up in the wall, and a passageway opens up behind the remnants of those old gods. He looks at the group of you. He says, "Yeah, there's your exit." He looks to Crix, and he flicks you a coin, golden coin. Just take that to the River Tardix. The passageway will lead you out. You should be able to find your way pretty easy, but take that to the river, and my demon flight will escort you out of the underworld. Take it as my gratitude for showing me a couple good fights. Wish you could have seen the next one. It would have been a real good time.
Crix,
Sorry, Coach.
Crix first. What's up?
I would say Crix grabs the coin on the ear, probably turns it in his fingers a few times. The whole time that like everything's been kind of happening, he's been kind of like looking at his arms and looking at the bow, and his figure seems to be more serious, and he just holds it up, and voice that comes out does not sound like usual Crix.
Okay.
I'll make sure that it goes to the place.
He nods. Tacitus, go ahead.
What I said was, what of the girl? The woman, sorry. What of the woman?
I don't know. It's all been quite chaotic. I saw those two friends of yours fighting alongside the Minotaur. I don't know where they ended up, but I assume they'll be safe. They seem like they were handling themselves okay.
Gideon and Lily.
Yes.
No, I think it was the other two.
We
The one
should
that
get
the one
them
that Crix turned
before
into
we
a toad.
go.
Oh, you don't want to go that way. Erebos lies through that doorway, and he approaches the door, and he draws two massive black dark blades from underneath his coat. As he does, he whistles, and those two skeletal birds that he'd kept on his shoulders fly in, and they break apart, and the bones of them form around the blades and form some sort of an essence and an empowerment for those weapons. As he slowly starts walking towards the archway, says, "Yeah, no,
Elvin's
good."
I just want to ask him one question before he leaves.
Yeah.
Elvin's just going to pipe up and say, wait, answer me one thing. Why did you want our ship's captain? What was the reason?
He keeps walking, but he looks backwards and smirks at you. He's like, "Hey, got to take some secrets to my grave, huh? But go ahead, go through that passageway. You don't have much time. Erebos approaches. This is going to be the last stand of the damned king. I'll hold him off for you." And he
Oh, I
continues
guess we don't
walking
have much of a choice.
out that archway, or towards the archway, not out of it yet.
Good luck, Sevi and Fate.
What do you guys want to do?
I'm going to look to the group and just say, I don't think we can go back. That to look for Gideon and Lily. We just have to trust they'll be safe.
I don't like it, but I agree.
Let's go then. And then we just start walking towards that exit.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go at a slightly faster pace than a walk.
Okay.
If
Ellen's walking.
No, we can jog.
if the god of the dead is coming at us, yeah, I'm not gonna just stroll.
Yeah, I mean, as you're sort of, let's see, like backing towards that doorway, about to turn and move quickly, you do see those like black, purplish, tentacle-like wisping energies passing through the archway and grasping onto the walls into the room as Sevian Fate makes his way towards the archway and those tentacles, that reach of Erebos.
Yeah, let's book it.
All right, everybody on their way up?
Yeah.
Okay. As you reach the passageway, Sevian turns around for a moment. It's like, "Hey, Elwin.
Yeah.
Tell your father he's a piece of shit." And he thrusts a bit of energy towards you, and it pushes you back into that chamber, and you're all pushed down a very nasty, muddy slide.
As Elwin heard Seven Fate say that, he just kind of let out a laugh. Said, "You don't gotta tell me twice."
And then you're pushed. You all sort of fall onto your backs and on your sides in various places, and you're being thrust in what is almost pure pitch black darkness. Um, you can sort of see the edges of the walls around you. You seem to be in some sort of circular tunnel almost.
Are we still like tumbling?
Yeah, you're still tumbling. It's a very steep pitch. After just maybe 10, 15 seconds of tumbling, you plunge straight down into rushing water, very fast rushing water. The group of you surface, and you're being pulled out, and you feel yourself being pulled up after a time. You're thrust through this rushing water for almost 1, maybe 2 minutes. You start to see light from above, and behind you, you can hear uh, dark, looming, battle-like sounds of whatever's going on with Sevian and Erebos. But that sound starts to fade away as you're thrust out, almost like in a geyser-like manner, into the air. The group of you sail probably 3-4 feet in the air before you land sort of haphazardly in the muds of the swamp on the outside of the Colosseum. What would you guys like to do?
What's around us?
It's the same swamps here. I'll throw up the original images I'd sent you just to give you the idea. It's the same swamps that you'd seen when you first arrived in Agonas, out that portal from the Dark to Xeris that you'd come through. There we go.
So he mentioned a river. Where on earth was he talking about?
If I try and listen, can I hear any sort of like running water?
No, you can't hear any running water or anything. Everything sounds pretty still, but listening out into the air, you do hear from the direction of the Colosseum mass sounds of combat.
Well, it's got to be away from the Colosseum at least.
Yeah. Staying here is a foolish idea. We move.
Yeah, you can't see the Colosseum through the mist. You know you're a good distance away. The combat sounds like it's a good ways out, but every now and then you can make out that like flashing purple energy, indicating that Erebos is active and present over there.
Well, let's keep moving.
As you sort of gather yourselves together, you see a quick shadow overtakes you for a moment, passing very quickly overhead. And in the mists in front of you, you hear a pretty loud thump and splash as something lands down.
Speak of the devil.
For a moment, you don't hear anything, and then you see a bright glow of the orange energy of that original dragon that you'd met when you came to Agonas, the one that had escorted you through the swamps. I'll drop the man's images back here. Benavra.
Well, we meet again.
The form of him hops off the dragon. Both of them sort of lumber through the mist before you can make them out clearly. He looks pretty sullen, like he's covered in blood. He's obviously been fighting. He has his axe drawn as he approaches you, but you can tell that he's not like out to hunt you down. So you made it.
We did. I take it you've found your freedom?
Not necessarily, but I'm going to help you guys out. Met with a friend of yours.
Who? Was it Ripley?
Yeah, Ripley Vance. She's a handful.
Briar's grinning.
She pulled your friends and the rest of your party out. She's assisting them in getting them out. I don't know what her plans are, but she has a message for you guys.
Oh?
Yeah, I guess y'all know Savas.
Yes.
Familiar?
Well, he apparently wants the group of you to, well, once you get out of the underworld, that is, and I'm going to help you with that. He wants you to find Nykthos, enter the realm of Nyx, and destroy some sort of a seal. You know what he's talking about?
The boss wants this?
Yeah.
Do we know what he's talking about?
Nope.
Oh. No, can't say we're familiar.
The last time I saw Savas, he threw us into this fucking pit.
Well.
Yeah, don't know if necessarily want to see him again, but
Well, I guess he made this request. Do what you want with it. Don't do anything with it. It's none of my business. But request came through Ripley.
thank you for relaying the message at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, I saw the other two, your two friends.
Are they safe?
Yeah, they're safe. They're fighting through the Coliseum on their way out. They seem to have freed some number of individuals there within the Coliseum. Not sure what they were doing, but they were taking care of themselves just fine.
I only hope they
Good.
can find a way out of this underworld.
I hope so.
I'm sure Ripley had a plan. She wouldn't appear without one.
Ripley also didn't blindly trust Savas. She questioned him. If she
Yes.
trusted him enough to pass on this message, I trust it.
Very well.
Well, if you'd all like
Let's
to,
figure out what we do later. Let's just get out of here.
well, if you'd all like to hop on, he beckons to the dragon that lowers its head to the ground and snorts very intimidatingly.
Didn't think I'd be riding a dragon today on the list of things I wasn't ready for.
I'll take you as far as the river, but that's as far as I can take you.
That is
bel-
plenty.
I believe you can find Stevian's associate there to get you across the river. You know how dangerous the trip is, yeah?
Can't be any more dangerous than staying here.
Well, I guess you'll see. And he climbs up, pulls himself onto the neck of the dragon, mounting himself. Everybody else climbing aboard as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you giving the other two a ride also? Or are they just gonna fend for themselves?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know where they went, but I assume they can take care of themselves. I'll try to find them afterwards. But I was specifically asked to get the group of you to the river. that's
I
what I'm gonna
cast
do.
a glance at how did the fuck did I forget Class's character's name?
Briar.
Briar. Yeah, like just completely fucking vanished. It was like I was like plant. There's a plant.
um, I don't like it, but we need to get out.
I have no objection.
Yeah, we can't help them at the moment. But I'm sure with Ripley there as well, they'll find a way.
Hey, so we're gonna go meet Savas then.
everybody,
Well, let's just get to this river and get out of this underworld.
everybody mounting the dragon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So as you all get on, he gives a whistle, and all the orange tattoos on the dragon and on Benavra himself glow very brightly as he takes you up into the air. You notice that he tries to stick with the thickness of the fog. As you're traveling as well, you notice there seems to be a distinct lack of wind or any sort of force of wind as you're traveling. It's a very creepily, eerily calm like essence as you're traveling around. For a moment, he stops, looks back at the group of you, and gives you like a finger to his lips as if to stay silent. And the energy of those tattoos, that orange glow, dissipates as the dragon sort of stops flapping the wings and just glides for a moment through the darkness. In the mists off to your right hand side, you can see the massive, hulking form of Erebos. And drop image of the man himself here.
Well, that's fun.
Doesn't seem to notice you, seems directly focused on what is likely the Colosseum down below. And he's massive, hulking over the skyline. He rears his arm back, cracks a massive whip down to the ground, and you can hear screams and shouts. And you can just barely make out the images of individuals from that Colosseum being grasped in the whip-like energy and turning slowly to Nick's essence as they're drawn into him I'm going to give you a little piece of artwork as well for that. You can hear the shouts and the screams of these souls down there as they're being collected and almost harvested by Erebos. Anybody want to do anything here, or are you just hunkering down, staying quiet?
This is an out of character question.
Sure.
Was Nick's essence ever mentioned for us?
I don't remember
It was in
specifically, but
Mogus's east that Sevian had.
It was mentioned in the what, sorry?
So Bell fought like this avatar of
yes,
Mogus,
Right.
that first battle that you'd
and
seen.
no, it was the second one that we saw. The first one was the alligators. The second one that we watched
Right,
was
you're right.
yeah. And it was talked about how that thing when it died had like the Nyx like energy in its wounds where it didn't like bleed proper. It just showed a star field.
It's
Okay.
also not a thing that's unknown in Theros. Like, Nyxborn are around, very rare, outside of Nyx itself, the god plane, but they do exist in the world. Some of them are in various positions of prominence within some of the larger cities and polises of Theros. So it's not something that you would be completely unaware of, that you've never heard of.
Okay.
But it's not something that you see very often. And I also believe this is the first time you've ever witnessed a god.
Yeah, sure is.
Aside from
Uh,
the visage of aside from the visage of Keranos that you'd seen, which is not like this. Like this, you get in the first session you'd seen sort of the face of Keranos in the sky, and that was very much a projection, very likely. This is like an actual, fully formed god, and you can tell is the exact form of Erebos as he's pulling these souls back into him through that Nyx-like essence, basically converting them completely to that essence and pulling them into his form.
We can take him.
God. Hmm.
Good to continue?
Yeah.
All right. If you have something to say, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking because like Briar would be worried as fuck for Gideon and Lily and doesn't like the idea of leaving them, but isn't stupid enough to think that they can take on Erebos. And so I want to say like her instinct is to like pray for their safety, but also she doesn't really want to pray to any gods.
Oh yeah, let's pray to the thing that's destroying the Colosseum.
Right? And so I'm trying to think of, is there like an entity that has like some kind of mythology with I just don't know.
The
She
old
hopes for their
gods,
safety.
the
Yeah.
ancient gods of where we came from.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and
Thoughts.
prayers.
But no prayers, just thoughts.
Yeah, sorry. Thoughts and
Oh, you know what? No, she's gonna remember Crix talking about his lady luck when we talked to the Bone Seer.
Oh,
And
Timara.
yeah, Tamara. So she's gonna send thoughts and prayers to Tamara.
Okay.
Please let them be lucky.
I mean, so something for all of you to keep in mind as well. You now also have the memory of those old gods.
The ancient world.
Yeah.
That we just watched die.
Right.
Well, they might have died,
those are
but
3 of them. You know
There's
that there
more.
were. You know that there were more. You don't know if they're still
there were
around or if
more.
they exist. But yeah, just I'd say for context, that is something that's going to be in the back of your mind. Because they were very important to all of you in your old world.
Sure. Thoughts and prayers to the old gods. Keep them safe.
But yeah, you pass through very silently for a while. You see Benavra being very careful. He's slowly rubbing the side of the neck of his dragon, patting the neck as if trying to calm the creature. And you pass through, and inevitably, it takes you quite a while. You slowly drift down towards the ground as the dragon continues to glide without flapping the wings to avoid drawing the attention of Erebos. But you inevitably reach a point where you start to lose sight of Erebos within the mists. You still see those flashes of almost bluish purple every now and then as he cracks that whip behind you. But Benavra at least feels it's safe enough, and you see that orange glow from those tattoos again light up on him and pass through the dragon as it begins to slowly flap its wings, and you ascend a bit more again. He looks back at the group of you, and you can see that he also is a bit concerned. So you all okay?
I don't know if I'd describe it as okay, but we're here.
Not the first time I've seen a god of Theros in our face.
Erebos usually doesn't show
Conky.
himself. He must really want you.
Well,
He was
hopefully we
specifically there
can.
for us.
I
I thought
believe
he was
so.
after Savvy and Fate.
No, I believe Sevian just got caught in the crossfire. A lot of creatures like Sevian exist down here, for the most part, underneath his notice.
Well, I guess we are a little unnatural here.
Well, from what I understand, he was after you. That's your business, not mine.
Well, hopefully he doesn't find us.
You travel for a time. Does anybody want to interact with Benavra as you travel, or you just want to quietly?
I'm gonna ask him, what are you planning to do after this?
I don't know. I know I don't mean to make the river crossing like all of y'all. I might wait it out, return to the Colosseum after Erebos is finished whatever ravaging he's doing there. Pick up the pieces, see what's left.
Let's see.
I'll look for your friends. If I can help them, I will. If they're still here.
I thought you wanted to escape.
I would love to escape, but I don't mean to make that river crossing.
Can I?
Hmm?
Well, I guess it wouldn't get a whole lot. I wanted to I don't know, insight or something for why he's so reticent.
You can roll it. You can also
But
just ask him.
yeah, you could also just ask.
And then
I
insight on
think
the accuracy.
what
Yeah.
I'll say is took you for more of someone that would take matters into his own hands if given the opportunity.
Yeah. Honestly, I like this guy right here, and he pats the dragon. Like I don't want to put him at risk, but that river crossing is quite dangerous, and I don't have means to request demonic assistance. So honestly, even if I did, I don't think I'd take the crossing. I'll seek another way out. I've been down here a long time. I don't mind spending more.
Your friend can't just fly across.
No. We're too large, too noticeable. Erebos would find us, send his minions to tear us back down. Then we'd likely get thrust into a much worse place than this, believe it or not. Agonas is kind of pleasant for the underworld. You don't want to go down to Theros.
See.
Azaris?
Theros is the lowest realm of the underworld.
What's a familiar
The
name?
name of the ship?
The same name as the ship.
Did we know that?
We just found out.
Yeah, I'd say, there's not a whole lot of information about the realm of the underworld, so unless you'd specifically gone off with your character and studied the underworld, you would probably not have heard the name Theros or.
Okay, so
Of those
then
different
my
layers.
reaction was then in character.
Yes.
Yeah. We were all just like, wait, what? The name of our ship? That can't be a coincidence.
There's no way that's a
Noth-
coincidence.
Well, this is Savas we're talking about. Though he
So we
didn't
have
get
a few extra questions.
he, as far as I'm aware, Savas didn't start with that ship, it was given to him. That makes me now wonder by who.
Yeah, if at least as far as the mythology is concerned, your characters know that it was gifted to him at some point by the gods for some great battle.
I wonder which god
His
specifically.
service in some battle.
Perhaps it was our lovely god of the underworld here.
Did you want to ask Benavra directly, Briar? Anything? Or did that pretty much answer your question for you?
I think that answered it.
Anybody else have any questions for Benavra, or do you want to just continue the rest of the journey?
You mentioned a relic. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
You mentioned a relic. Is it the coin that we need?
Sorry, what about the coin?
Didn't Benavra mention that like he was missing something to make the crossing?
Yes,
I thought he called it a relic.
he did, yeah.
Oh. The relic that that's what I was asking about. Like, is that what he's referring to?
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain currency, a specific currency you need to trade with these demons at the river to gain their assistance in your crossing.
I would find if you're intent on heading back to the Colosseum, you might find what remains of the damned king. Maybe he has more.
He's dead, is he?
He was
One can
walking into his
assume.
death.
Wow. I'm not sure where he's going to end up, but I'm sure it's going to be one of the darker pits of the underworld.
Always worth a look to see if maybe he had one last fuck you to the gods.
I'll take a look. Varn? Crix? Did you have something you wanted to ask?
Yeah. Is that I need a reminder. When we came out of the portal originally, he showed up in an area really close by, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Like, do you know if that portal that we came out of was something that's closed or if it's still open?
As far as I know, it's still open, but Erebos pretty much standing right on top of it.
No, he's not great.
I mean, these demons help us to get out of the underworld. That would just bring us back to the ship.
Yeah, they'll take you
It
back to
would bring
Norena.
us.
I know, but I don't know.
I'm sure Splish will be fine.
Splish and those other two.
And the skeletal Savas.
Yeah.
And Fabio.
Yep, Fabio, Galen's wife, is still on the deck, as well as that one individual that boarded himself into the shop. Basra.
I wonder if they were headed here anyway. And if they were, maybe they'll meet up with the others.
I don't know.
Hard to tell.
I'm still curious on the skeleton.
Well, unfortunately, staying here would mean likely confronting the god of death himself, and I don't know if we're equipped for that.
Know what that bulls can do.
Any other questions for Benavra?
No.
Everybody else good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you continue on in silence for the remainder of the journey. Flying for what feels like hours, you're not really sure. Still lost in the experience that you just had, and you've now got memories of a whole lot of lives jumbling about in there. I'd say that the past lives on Theros are much less prominent. You can find bits and pieces of them in there, but the very forefront of your minds are those original lives, those original memories. It's still something that is there, and the sights, the sounds, the smells, the relationships you had in that life are something that you are starting to remember and piece together. Inevitably, you stumble upon what is sort of a very dark, drab-looking city. It almost looks devoid of anybody, like almost a ghost town as you approach. But as you get closer and the fog starts to dissipate, you can clearly see the banks of the River Tartix and hundreds of buildings spanning for what looks like miles and miles and miles along the river. And you can see individuals passing slowly around in the sort of streets between these dark, dead-looking buildings. Benavra brings the dragon down to a landing about 100 feet outside the edge of some of these buildings and hops off the neck, bids you all to hop off as well.
I'll get down.
I get down as well.
As you hop down, he steps back and leans against the dragon. He's like, well, don't know if I'll be seeing y'all again, but wish you the best of luck. He points into the city. You'll find who you're looking for there, and don't worry, they'll stand out. You'll know them when you see them.
Oh, I suppose one other question. You said Ripley said to meet Savas. Did she say where?
She didn't say to meet Savas. She just passed on the message from Savas. I don't know if you'll see him there or not.
See.
Yeah, Nykthos, the Phoenix Stairs. Some seal, destroy it.
Well, I'm sure we'll figure it out. Thank you for bringing us here.
Good luck getting across the river. Just, I don't know what you know about it, but it's gonna be dangerous. So have your wits about you, be careful, and be ready to fight off the minions of Erebos should they try to pull you back down into the waters.
We'll be careful.
He nods, hops back on
Take
the
care.
dragon.
Take care of yourself, Benavra.
You as well. Nods to the rest of you and gives a pat to the dragon, and it lurches back up into the air and flies back off towards the Colosseum.
I'm gonna shout at him. I expect to hear of you escaping.
You hear him laugh in the distance. It's like, well, one of these days, as he fades off in the distance.
Let's go find the river crossing then.
So the outskirts here, it's very much not a swamp now. It's very, almost like Badlands, like dry. Every now and then there's sort of stone outcroppings, but for the most part, the ground is just very dry and cracked. Do you just want to approach the city? There doesn't appear to be anything obstructing you. It's just a vast wasteland. Behind you is, you can still see the thickness of the mist that you'd come out of towards those swamps, but all around you and on your way towards that city is just that dry slab, sort of badland type terrain.
I want to be looking for any signs of not life, but other beings, and if we're being watched.
Perception.
It's the first roll of the night.
It is.
Sure is. A dirty 20.
Okay.
Nice.
So looking around you, you don't see anybody else out in this wasteland. You don't see anything else back towards the fogs. But towards the city, every now and then you can make out very pale looking creatures slowly shambling about. You can't quite make out species, but they all seem to be dressed in rags of some kind and give off very much Souls of the Dead type vibes. They seem to be just passing about as you approach. The closer you get, you can start to hear a little more activity. You can hear the clanging of hammers, what sounds like hammers on anvils or forges of some kind. Every now and then there's bursts of black smoke that slowly travel up outside of the city into the air above, disappear into the darkness.
Do we know anything of this city from like stories of mythology?
No, uh, there's really nothing specific about the underworld, the locations in the underworld. As far as the mythology is concerned, you know that it's almost or very likely an endless sprawl. And what's down here is random and chaotic.
Okay.
Anybody else as you continue on?
Just keeping aware of our surroundings as we continue.
As you reach
I think if anything,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think if anything, Tacitus is mostly just like tossing the revelations over in his mind right now.
Okay.
Yeah. The greatsword that I picked up.
Mhm.
Is there like a? Actually, never mind.
You sure?
Yeah, never mind.
Were you gonna send those write-ups afterwards?
Yeah, I'll send them after.
Okay.
As well, maybe after if we reach a certain point where you have like a moment to get a better understanding of them. But you might have that time here as you reach the city. So yeah, you do approach. You reach the outskirts. As you reach the edge, it really just dissipates from just blank badland into rough, dirty streets. The buildings themselves are not very tall. The tallest buildings are maybe 2 stories. Most of them are just 1-story little shacks, little huts. Some of them don't have any space between. Every now and then there's a very narrow alleyway. As you reach the edge and start walking into the first opening into the streets, you can see various creatures around. None of them pay you any mind or pay you any heed. You can hear much louder now the clanging of hammers, the banging of hammers against steel or metal of some kind. But for the most part, the streets are empty, devoid of any sort of direct activity. Creatures are just sort of shambling about. And you recognize creatures of all races on Theros. Humans and centaurs and minotaurs, goblins, satyrs, basically anything you can think of, other dragonborn. Some areas, as you like sort of slowly walk through this first street, you can see there's a bit more of them moving about. They all seem almost aimless, directionless. Others are moving a little faster, looking around, seem to be more aware. But none of them really
I'm sorry.
give you any mind.
Did you say that they had like spectral forms, or are they pretty solid?
No, they're all pretty solid, but all of them are very pale.
Do we happen to know where we're going?
Towards the clanging, I suppose.
That's not a bad place to start, I guess.
So you want to move towards the nearest active area of noise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you pass through the city streets. You make a right-hand turn, and you see an area that looks like just a massive forge space. There's multiples of these creatures clanging and banging on these anvils. There's hot, molten forges where things are being melted down. You see some creatures leaving this area with bright golden masks on their face. And I'd say all of you, from what you know above Theros, you've all experienced the returned. You've seen at least one of them in your time, be it, a violent enemy or just a lifeless zombie-like husk. But you know of the returned, and this is very clearly the area where these creatures are about to begin their swim across the Tartix. To inevitably, if they survive that swim and escape, become returned. And they are forging those golden masks that will be their identities when they reach life, should they escape. Because the swim across the river strips you of your identity, of your memories of your life before, strips you of your actual face. Literally, you have no eyes, no nose, no mouth. As you come out of the Tartix and emerge, they're just blank husks. And they forge these masks before they swim across so they can, have some sort of a face and identity of their creation.
So the who is forging the masks?
Souls of the dead, various souls
The
of
dead
the dead.
themselves. They are
Yep.
forging their own masks. Okay.
Yes, yeah, they all forge their own masks. Here, I'm going to give you an image of an idea of what you'd see for some of these returned.
That's fun.
You know, all of you would know because it's pretty common knowledge. The returned are very feared for the most part. You know that there are peaceful returned, and there's a city called Asphodel where they reside for the most part. And those are returned that sort of still have remnants of their memories about them, bits and pieces of their old lives that they're starting to remember. But they're not violent creatures. They just wish to live in peace. But the world itself is very much not accepting of those returned from the dead, so they can't really operate within the main cities on Theros. So they all find their way inevitably to Asphodel. But aside from that, you do know the city of Agonas, where the Murder King Timaret resides, is also a city of very violent returned. These are the returned that emerge with the imprinting of the god of deception, and they have a hatred for the god of deception. They have a hatred for all life, and they're drawn inexplicably to the Murder King. Nobody really is sure why or what magic or force drives it, but most, like 9 out of 10 returned as they emerge from the underworld without these identities, are given that murderous energy and are drawn to the city of Adunos and to the Murder King.
That's fun.
But you do know from the mythology that all of these creatures, as they follow the path of Phonax, which is the swim across that river towards the inevitable escape, they know that they are going to be stripped of their identities. They know that they're going to be stripped of their memories. So their last act, basically, before they surrender themselves to escape the underworld, is to forge their identity. And it's pretty much the most important thing to overturned because it's literally their last willful action that they can take.
Now, do we know, or do we have any sense if our own passage would cause that effect on us?
If you get into the
Considering
water,
we're not. Oh, okay, and we're flying over it.
you're going to seek demon flight by Sevian's offer.
So it's the people who try and escape by swimming that
Yes.
essentially lose. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Is sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there are other ways to cross the river, and requesting the assistance of demons to fly across is one. There are risks, so you don't know all of the risks and all the dangers out there, but obviously Benavra told you it's pretty risky to fly across. But demons are known to be able to survive and make the crossing far more successfully than anybody else.
Shit, I can't remember my question now. Fuck. Oh. I guess for the returned, is this process something that is seen as like defying the gods, or is this
100%.
like okay?
It's in defiance specifically
But
of Erebos.
but Erebos knows of this and still lets them do it anyways.
He can't stop it. So he has minions that patrol the river and try to remove these souls as they pass through, and he is
Okay.
able to recapture most of them. But there are many who still escape, and there's what is called the Path of Phonax, the mystery of how Phonax initially escaped. He's the one that created this. He's the reason there are any returned. Before that, nothing came out of the underworld, or very, very rarely, if ever. But Phonax, during his escape, again lost his identity, but something that he'd done in the underworld made him emerge as a god among the pantheon. And that's why he also has one of these golden masks in most of the depictions as well.
Okay.
But yeah, he created this path. It's something that is known in the underworld, and as you approach the river and want to try to travel the path of Phonax, you're pretty much easily able to acquire that information, and that's when they begin to forge these masks and make their attempt to cross.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. But yes, you emerge into this area, and it's a whole forge area. Also, as a note, which is something of myth, but something that you would have heard of, gold as a resource in the underworld is the most prominent thing. Gold is everywhere, so it's very easy to acquire gold, and that's what they forge their masks out of. is the gold of the underworld. And that's what they're all forging. So the forges themselves, there's lots of melted gold, and there's many individuals just cracking hammers on anvils and forming these masks as carefully and delicately as they can. As you walk amongst them into this very square-like area, open square of individuals just forging masks, there's hundreds, if not thousands of them, and this stretches on as far as your eye can see out in front of you. You seem to be at sort of like you enter at more of a closed area, but you can hear on the opposite side as well hammers clanging as if this is going on for miles on the opposite side as well. None of them seem to pay any notice to you. Every now and then, one of them bumps into you as they pass on, barely even give you a glance. What would you guys like to do here? Anybody?
Do any of them seem... You said that most of them are like gray colored, right?
Everything here, yeah, everything here is of that same color in the image, like very drab, pale, grayish, bluish, white, various
Okay.
shades. But everything here seems like they look dead.
Okay. I guess I'm thinking, so if anyone else has any other ideas, go ahead.
Do you want to continue walking? Do you want to approach anybody?
Are we I don't know. If we were to continue walking, where would we go down next?
You can continue walking down this forge lane. Like I said, it goes on as far as your eye can see. There's also paths that splinter off towards the water, towards the river.
I'm going to suggest we head towards the river, perhaps, considering that's our end goal.
I support that.
Is there any path that seems like it goes higher up?
Everything here seems very flat and still. Nothing seems to rise. Every now and then there's a building with a second story. As you
Okay.
pass by some of these buildings, they seem very hollowed out. Like there's no furniture on the inside. They're just open spaces.
Does it look like there's like a way to get up to the second floor or onto the roof from them?
You can definitely spot the ones that are 2 stories. You can spot staircases on the interior that would lead up to a higher floor. But they're just devoid of anything. The buildings themselves are very clay in nature. The walls don't seem very thick, very crudely built.
I'm gonna mention to the others, I'm gonna get a higher or a better vantage point and like sort of nod to the building.
Okay.
All right. Not a terrible idea.
Hold on, I'm gonna roll this. As you enter this first structure, Crix, I want you to roll perception, specifically Crix.
Perception. 20.
Very faintly, for a moment, you hear something carry on the air, and it's a very familiar sound. It's very faint, but you hear shitstorm, shitstorm.
Huh.
Which direction do I hear that?
Back towards the water. Back and towards the water.
Towards the water?
Yeah, towards the river.
The river that these people are swimming across the...
Yeah, the river Tartix.
How far out?
I'd say with that roll, very close, like within a mile.
And it's out in the water.
Not out in the water, but towards the water.
Oh, well, I'll start heading towards where that voice is, as long as there's like.
Do you want to notify
Yeah,
the rest of the group, or you just want to go on your own?
Nope, I'm moving.
So you just turn around and start running in that direction?
I wouldn't say run. I'm moving quickly.
Okay. Anybody follow?
I don't think I would have noticed. If I was the one heading into the building, then
Yeah, Tacitus probably, you might not have noticed, but the other two of you would have definitely seen Crix turn and move away.
I think Briar would just be like, Crix, where are you going?
Hey, there's an old friend that I need to go talk.
Briar's gonna go.
Sorry, off topic, but do you guys want to hear the craziest thing that just happened? So I ordered McDonald's, right? And it got delivered just now, and I opened the bag, and there was nothing but the drink in there. Like none of the food,
No.
none of the food was in there.
oh
It's-
boy,
It's too
Wow.
cold to function outside,
Tragic.
man. It's too cold to function. You can't play them.
Like it's literally the store didn't pack it into the store. The store packed this
Absolutely
giant bag
tragic.
with just the
Just a
drink.
Perfect.
And I was like, what do you mean? Anyway, it's never happened to me before. I'm absolutely in shock.
Seems to be a common thing because it happened in place, and somebody else mentioned it happened to them recently.
Okay.
Food delivery
I had
service.
that
Anyway.
happen with my groceries once, but never with like fast food.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, Briar's gonna look back and forth between Tacitus going up the stairs and Crix rushing away and gonna curse and follow after Crix because theoretically know where Tacitus is.
okay. Elwin,
Possibly gonna be there for a minute.
what about you, Ellen?
Sorry, what was the question?
Crix heard something and quickly moved off towards that, and said that he'd heard an old friend. Briar rushed off to follow Crix.
What
Tacitus,
did Tacitus
you're just
do?
going to continue moving up the stairs, Tacitus?
did I hear
You would
like
have
Briar?
heard their interaction, yeah, like Briar and Crix as you moved away.
I think Briar
Um,
will like if it looks like Elwyn is about to follow her, she's gonna say stay with Tacitus.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Tacitus then.
So where are you going, Tacitus? Do you want to continue up?
God damn it. So I'll turn around, and I guess I would see Briar running off and Crix nowhere nearby.
You'd see Crix rushing off too, a little bit further ahead.
Okay, I guess I'd probably not go up the building because it's not that important. And if Elwyn is in the way, push past him and say, "What are they doing?"
Crix heard something and he's chasing after it. I didn't have a chance to stop him in time. Either we
And you're
chase
just
after
gonna-
them, or if you have something
We
more
go.
pressing. All right, let's
It
go
was
then.
just a random building.
All right, let's run.
Okay. So, moving off towards where you heard it, Crix, you're the first one to spot. You see the bright purple of that bird that you recognize, and the bright purple jacket of Sam Stricken. I'm gonna throw the image of him back in the chat. He's waving that cutlass around as several of those gold masked creatures or souls are slowly trying to approach him. They don't seem armed, but he's sort of surrounded by them. The bird every now and then is snapping, and you hear another shitstorm as it's like snapping and flapping its wings very violently on his shoulder, and he's sort of swinging this cutlass around in the direction of these creatures.
Is he saying anything, or is he just kind of back against the wall, just kind of trying to defend himself?
He's back. He is backed into a wall as these creatures are slowly trying to approach, and he's just swinging the blade. He's not really saying anything at the moment as you approach. He definitely looks a little worse for wear. Not as usually like the way you knew Sam Stricken on the Theros was a very like clean cut guy. Kept himself very clean. His clothing was very fine and upkept and very nice and fancy. Always wore the most expensive things. Always cared about how he looked. Now his hair is scruffy. His face is dirty. His clothes are ripped and torn. He's looks like he's been rolling around in shit. Like not doing too well.
I'm gonna start walking towards his direction. I'm assuming I'm probably outside of the pack that seems to be
Yes.
enclosing on him.
Yeah, there's about 6 of these gold masked returned, not yet returned, but
I'm gonna keep at least about like 10 feet away from them.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna like over yell, "Hey, fucking shitstorm indeed! Hey, Sam Strickland."
he looks over at you. Crix? Oh, thank God! Get these things away from me!
Hey, what you do to fucking piss him off?
It wasn't my fault. Just help.
Are you sure that wasn't your fault?
It was not my fault. The bird then echoes, "His fault. His fault." And he gives it like a tap with his hand. Shut the fuck up. Crix, help.
Is that something that you're commanding me to do?
I said, please. And he swings the cutlass as a couple of them get a little closer. They don't seem to be aggressive. They're just like slowly shambling towards him.
I don't know if I really want to. You know, I can't remember someone leaving me on board a fucking ship as it went down into hell. Oh wait, we're in hell.
The rest of you would be reaching the Crix as he's saying this. Sam sort of shouts back. He's like, look, it was an accident, all right? I didn't know what was going to happen. Everything happened so fast. I looked for you. I swear I looked for you. I couldn't find you. And he swings the sword at another couple of them as they get a little closer.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll help you, but you gotta do one thing for me.
Do anything. What do you need?
I need you to command me to help you.
What?
You need to command me to help you.
Crix, I command you. Help me.
With that, I'm going to pull out the bow and take aim. And by the way, I'm going to assume that probably uses up the contract I have with him.
Potentially.
Well, I believe it was for me to do something for him as a command. So
you can confirm that with him if you say so.
Well, that's why I said to make me.
Yeah, I know what you're getting
at. Yeah, I'm going to test out this bow. I'm going to probably draw it back, and I'm assuming an arrow's going to appear.
Yeah, as you draw it back, very glowing, pinkish red, almost energy-like arrow takes form.
I'll stop for like one split second and be like, "Hey, you things really want to be doing this? Because it's going to get messy, and there's more of us now."
The creatures don't respond to you. They just sort of continue like slowly shambling with their focus entirely on him.
As soon as they don't respond, I'm shooting one.
Okay. Rest of the party, you guys are just hanging out and watching this?
When I arrive, I'm just going to yell out and be like, Crix, what the hell's going on?
Biden.
Anybody else?
What?
Like Briar and Tacitus, what are you guys doing?
I'm just going to sigh.
Okay.
I think.
Does Briar know Sam?
You don't know him, but you would definitely recognize him as one of the members of the crew of the Theros. He's a very flashy, gaudy sort of a guy, very loud and arrogant, and so you would have seen or at least heard him on the ship. He definitely was somebody that stood out. You would have known him as some sort of like kind of an information broker. Not really aligned with anybody in particular aside from himself.
All right. No, she's not gonna step in and interfere with this.
Okay.
This is Crix's business.
All right, so Crix, roll your attack. You have a +6 on that bow.
Jesus Christ!
I'm gonna have to make a side note. So, Soul Guide.
Yeah, I'll send you the full sheet on it once. If you want to take time to study it. Yeah, you have a +6 to hit.
Oh, I definitely would stay it. I need something to roll me dice. Fuck it, we'll roll this. No, that doesn't work for intact. Where's an actual action?
Be a ranged attack.
Oh my god, this is not rolling the way I want it to roll. Stop it. That'll work. So I'm gonna assume my dex is included,
Yep.
right?
Yep, ranged attack, so d20 plus dex plus 6 on the end.
Doesn't help that I don't have anything that's close to this, so that's my proficiency. So it's 5 plus that 21.
Okay. So you fire the arrow, give this this beautiful glowing streak of light, and as you fire the bow, you immediately recognize that feeling. As if you fire. Spy, you have some background noise clicking over. Is that Gray?
He might have like put his headphones down or
Yeah.
something.
I thought I heard
Want me to mute him quick?
I think he's coming
I
back. He's getting
can-
louder.
I can mute him. too.
No, it's alright. I don't want him to like come back and try to speak and not be able to. But I think we're good now.
Oh, he would be able to unmute himself.
I think we're good now.
Okay.
But yeah, you fire off that bow. You feel that connection as it's the first time you've used this weapon since you got it. But man, it feels good, and you remember how this bow feels. Like lifting it up, you know exactly what it is. You know exactly how to fire it, how to use it. It feels natural, something you've done hundreds, thousands of times, maybe. It feels like a part of you almost. I need you to roll 8d6 and add 2.
D6 plus 2.
Yes.
I guess the +2 is kind of minimal there, to be honest.
5, 6, 7, 8.
So it's a third of one of those die.
So a third of an eighth.
Yeah. Jesus fucking shit, Christ on heaven. So plus 2, huh?
Yep.
35?
Okay. So yeah, the arrow cuts clean through the center of one of these creatures, and immediately as it strikes through, the creature crumbles to dust, and that golden mask falls to the ground. The rest of them stop shambling. They slowly look towards you, and then begin to move away, back away towards the river. Do you let them leave?
Yeah. If they're going to turn and just fucking leave, I'm gonna let them leave.
Yeah. They don't make any noise. They don't make any sort of like aggressive action. They just slowly back away, and as they reach a certain distance, they turn around and move off into the city in different directions. Sam Stricken sort of sheathes his cutlass, leans forward, puts his hands on his. He's like, "Oh, the cricks! I can't believe. Where the hell did you come from? Did you escape with the rest of the party? Were you in that prison with us?"
Hey, you were in the prison. Yeah. Quite frankly left that place, and I'm glad to do such a favor for you, you know.
Oh, I'm real thankful you showed up. Oh man.
Yeah. I'm glad to get the favor out of the way, you know.
Oh, were you talking about the contract?
I am talking about the fucking contract.
Oh, that contract was bullshit. That's just illusion magic. I'm sorry, man.
Hey, well, it doesn't matter. I will fucking
Yeah.
had you use it here anyways.
Yeah. It was real. You were real clever. I love you, Crix.
Yeah. What the fuck you doing here?
Well, I mean, were you a prisoner? Did you get captured with the rest of us? I didn't see you down there.
More like a combatant.
Really?
Hey.
Well, I didn't spend more than a couple days down there. I managed to barter my way out. I walked for like, God, I don't know how long. I walked for a long time through that damn swamp before I showed up here.
Hey, that is quite the mileage and whatnot.
Yeah, I tried to save as many people as I could, but as I couldn't do it. As it ended up just being able to get myself out, But I was going to go back for the rest.
I'd like some insight.
I look from him automatically to the bird to see if the bird says anything.
The bird, like, it looks to you and blinks for a moment, and then it looks at your bag.
I pull out some rations.
Okay, toss
This
him.
was the
Yep.
most pointless thing to get this on, but I got a nat 20.
Nice. Yeah, so as you're sort of like squinting your eyes at this guy, you don't really know him very well, but it sounds like bullshit. Crix throws some rations to the bird, who like snaps him out of the air, and he immediately goes, "Bullshit! Bullshit!" He again looks at the birds. Oh, you know, he's been weird since we got down here. I don't think he likes the darkness. You know, it's just don't listen to him.
You're lying out your ass, man.
I know. I was gonna go back for him. The crew meant everything to me.
A friend of yours, Crix.
Hey, quite the friend, and yeah, the crew meant a lot. As soon as we sang him down into the whirlpool there, yeah, poured it out. What happened to that, anyways?
What do you mean?
Well, you said you had a device to fucking get off the boat in case we went a fucking shitstorm. What happened?
Well, I it didn't work. I thought it was supposed to do a thing, and it didn't do the thing that it was supposed to do. All right, obviously I paid too much for it.
Hey, so the swindler got swindled.
I wouldn't call it that. All right, I didn't get swindled. All right, it's
Just kind of eye him.
well. Look, I'm glad you guys made it out. Is everybody else dead? Like,
Hey, we're not sure. The god of the undead with fucking Kraken's whip in that area.
I'm sure they're fine.
good. Everybody's fine. Good. So it all worked out in the end. I guess I don't have to go back to rescue them. Then everything's good. He like stands up and like dusts his jacket off a little bit, starts to straighten himself out. It's like the rest of you, you don't know me. My name is Samuel Stricken, at your service. What can I do for you? Anything? Do you need anything?
We need to get out of here and fast.
Oh well, I have a way out.
No.
Well,
we
we
have
do
our own
as
way
well.
out.
Are you sure? He reaches into his bag and he pulls a scroll. It's like
What the
this
hell
right
is that?
here.
Absolutely not.
It's a spell scroll. And
As soon as I see him pull out a spell scroll, I'm just gonna say absolutely not, and just start like
no, I'll give it to you
walking
cheap.
towards a building for that that has a second story.
So you went back the way you came.
Yeah, if that other building we were at was the closest one, then yes.
There's definitely a closer building that's 2 stories if you'd like to
Okay.
approach, and it's also the same, like hollowed out, like nothing inside but the staircase.
I'm going to say back to the rest of the party, I'm getting a better view of the place.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Tacitus.
Elwyn
I
and
guess
Crix.
I'll follow. Going with them.
What about you, Crix?
I just look at Sam and go, hey, so what's your game plan now?
Well, I'm gonna stick with you guys for a minute. I'm gonna back you guys up. I know my way around, so I can definitely help you out.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, what can I help you with? What are you looking for? What do you need? And he starts to like hustle in the direction of the rest of the party that's moving towards that building.
Hey, we don't really need anything at the moment. We're just looking for a way out, which we have a way out. We just need to find it at the moment.
Oh, what's this way out that you've got? Out of
Well,
curiosity.
I think if I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have to make you sign a magical contract.
If you have a magic scroll that lets you escape this place, why are you still here?
Well, I told you I had to rescue the rest of the crew, but now that I know that they're safe and sound, maybe I'll just use it. But I want to make sure you guys get out safely too.
You don't need to concern yourself with us.
But you're a part of my crew. I care for you deeply.
Sam,
And we can handle ourselves.
You're sort of
So
reaching the top of the steps, and you reach the top of the roof at this point. He follows you up. It's like, but I can, I'm pretty well known in this area, at least now. I've got a pretty good reputation. I can help you out. Like, what are you looking for? What do you
I tap him on the shoulder lightly and then kind of grip hard and just kind of look at him and go, hey, Sam,
I normally tolerate your bullshit and whatnot because you're pretty good for information. I'll give you that. But these guys aren't the type that you can really bullshit like you can with the other patrons and whatnot. So probably just keep the act down to a low of a 1.
Persuasion or intimidation.
See which one's better. I'm not really trying to be aggressive too much. Persuasion at 19.
Okay. He looks at you and he gives a sigh, and he pulls a little bit of food out of his pocket and throws it to his bird, who snaps it up. He's like, "Ah, look, I need a way out too. All right, so can you help me, Crix,
Hey,
for old
hey,
time's sake?"
you've
I just
helped
hear
me
him
out in
say
the
he needs a way out.
yeah.
Was he lying to our faces a moment ago?
Yes.
Is that what you say out loud?
No. It's inner monologue.
Right.
I'm sure everyone else caught it, but Owen is too preoccupied.
Hey, as much as I know that you're a coward when it comes to a fight and whatnot, you've helped me out in the past with information. So
Hey.
I'll help you out.
I'm still alive right now, huh? So I'm pretty, I'm resourceful.
I know you can get information and have a business relationship I'd like to keep going. So yeah, I'll help you out.
Oh, thank you, Crix. It's
Just don't be annoying.
No, you won't hear a word from me. I swear. Just if you need something, just ask me. Because I can help you out. I can definitely help you with whatever you need, and the rest of you too. Like if you guys, whatever you need. Like what do you need? Do you need anything? I got it.
You're kind of hitting the threshold of a 4. You need to bring it down to a 1.
He looks at it. She's like, "This is my one. This is my one."
Wild.
Tacitus, as you Crix and Sam are going back and forth, you reach the top of the rooftop and looking around, it's like this. You can see the river itself, and it's just a very frightening sort of a sight. The water itself is black and murky, almost like tar. There's mist that rise up off of it, and the mist takes the form of just skull-like skeletal energy every now and then, um, almost like creatures below. The essence of some creatures are trying to reach up and drag themselves out of the water, and they get pulled back down below. Give you an image
Oh, so
of
it's like a
river itself.
swamp in a Disney cartoon.
Very much so, yeah. Old school
Nice.
Disney, not the new stuff.
Yeah.
That's a little easier.
That new Disney.
Yeah, the older, more darker Disney. But
Mhm.
yeah, so you see that the river and the form of the river that seems to go on endlessly, and the city itself continues to sprawl as well. You can see enough off back where you came from to see that Badland as well sprawls along the side, going on almost endlessly before it reaches that mist, which also seems to travel on and on and on and on. What are you looking for in particular?
So if I remember correctly, I don't remember his name because I'm fucking awful at names. The bee
Navra.
guy. What was it?
Navra.
Benavra, yes. Benavra said
Oh, the bee guy. I was
You-
like, a guy has bees? Like, who are you talking about?
Benavra said like we won't miss them, essentially. I'm looking for like some thing that looks really out of place.
Okay.
Like a giant hulking demon or like a place that the like crowds of these souls aren't like gathering.
Roll perception.
Please load D&D Beyond.
It is a. Can Briar be with him?
With Tacitus, yeah.
Yeah. She would be looking for a demon.
Okay.
Can I look back in the direction we came from to see if there's any sign of a pursuing army or anything of the sort?
Yeah, the mist itself just looks calm and dead. Nothing seems to be disturbing it.
Okay,
Is
good.
D&D Beyond like working for anyone else right now?
Working in what way?
Like,
Let
I
me
tried to
refresh.
roll and the page crashed, and I tried to refresh it, and now the page isn't loading.
They lost
No,
all
it
their
seems
funding. It's,
it seems broken. I can't load the page.
everybody canceled their subs. They don't have the money to go on.
I just got an error 503 first byte timeout, which is absolutely insane.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Rest in
okay,
peace. Rest in peace to Beyond.
What the fuck?
I'm pretty sure my perception was at most a +1, so I'm gonna go with that. Let me just find a physical dice.
Well, I
See,
guess
this
I'm
is
not
why
looking at
you
my
should
character
just
sheet
have
anymore.
physical dice. This is why you should have physical stuff, guys. Right here. This is it.
I actually just saw a thing that was like, you should have physical stuff, and I was like, they're probably right.
I always say that.
Bird has been saying that forever. Every single time.
There's this
I-
place that selling like a really nice notebook that you can keep character sheets, like that have character sheets in them, and I was tempted to buy one the other day.
17. I rolled a 17, so I had 18, I think.
Oh no. Oh, without D&D Beyond, what are you guys gonna do?
I've memorized all my
I
stats.
have fancy grounds.
Okay. So
I will carry them.
did you want to roll something as well, Briar?
I mean, perception for a demon. If that is allowed.
Yeah, you can also roll.
D20.
Okay. So the both of you look around. The only thing that you notice that is very different is there's a certain area towards the edge of the water off to the right-hand side, roughly maybe 8 to 12 of these buildings away on the edge of the water. There's an area that looks to be inhabited by tents. It's not structures like what you see here. It's just filled with tents, maybe 20, 30 of them. You can just barely make out the tops of them.
Tents?
Tents,
Like,
yeah. Very,
do these
like,
look...
they look tattered and worn down. They're sort of black and gray and torn in various places.
Like war tents or stalls or camping tents?
They would most likely, I'd say, resemble what would be closer to a merchant's tent.
Okay.
I'm gonna point... so I saw it, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna point to that. To, like, nudge Briar. That look good to you?
As good a place to start as any. I say we go to it.
Tacitus, as you point, you feel Sam get real close to you, and he whispers at you. He's like, "Hey, what do you want to know about that place? I know what's in there. You need info."
Tacitus is gonna knock this guy out.
I'm just gonna start rolling a d20 whenever he talks to me.
I can't wait for Tacitus to just punch him straight in the face.
Oh, well, I got 16, so I'm gonna say he's tolerating this for now. I'm just not gonna say anything.
He gives you a little nudge with his elbow. It's like, hey, like, we need some info.
Claire's gonna put her hand on his chest and push him back slightly.
I'm gonna before Briar does that, I'm going to put my arm in front of her, put my hand on his shoulder, and say 3.
3. I mean,
3. And then I'm gonna start walking downstairs.
As Elwyn walks past him, Elwyn's gonna be like, "I'd be careful there, buddy."
what does he mean by 3?
You don't want to find out.
I believe that's how many chances you have.
Is it
I'd
like
say
a game
just
show?
avoid that number becoming 0.
You guys are real tight. Like, what's going on? Like, you gotta loosen up.
Do you understand where we are at the moment?
Yeah, it's dawned on me.
Okay, just checking.
Look, everything is just another opportunity. What's your name? Igwin?
Do I hear him?
You
Or-
probably hear a bit of it, yeah, as you were walking away.
I'm gonna look back and see if I notice Briar and Elwyn like following yet, which I'm assuming they're not.
No, Briar will start following you, but she's also
Yeah, I was
that way
walking.
to herself.
I was following as well, but I was just making. I don't know what I was trying to do. I was trying to tell this guy to watch out, and now he's annoying me too, so he might have to watch out for an extra
Briar
person.
is delighted that somebody is taking Tacitus's ire off of her. She thinks this is hilarious.
If I hear him like annoying Elwyn, I'm gonna yell too.
Yeah, you would have heard it.
Yeah. So I'll yell too.
He
Oh
goes,
Might as well
my
make it.
God.
Hey,
Might as well make it one.
he goes, hey, for the money?
I'm going to wait for everyone else once we get back down.
Yeah, right behind you. Elwyn walks up next to Crix and just says, "How has this fool lived this long?"
He swindles. Oh, hey, Six, I have accents back. Good. Ugh. Anyways, he's good at swindling.
Well, this might be his last attempt at swindling before he dies. So
He. Take my word for it that I say that he is good at information. He's. As much as he looks like one of those people that just says whatever, which he does sometimes, he's a notorious bard for gathering information.
I assume we're walking towards the direction of this camp.
Yeah.
It's a group.
But you said
Okay.
you stopped at the bottom and waited for the rest of the group, Tacitus.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give him another look.
He walks up to you. He puts a hand on your shoulder, reaching up. He's not quite as tall as you. He reaches up, puts a hand on your shoulder. He's like, "Look, I think we got off on the wrong foot." The bird on his shoulder goes, "One." He looks
Jesus
very
Christ.
cross at the bird, and he looks back to you, Tacitus. He's like, "Look, I'm not trying to be irritating, okay? I'm just trying to help."
Can I like try and grab his like lips and just close his mouth?
I mean, your hand is probably big enough to just cover his whole fucking face.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to like maybe squeeze from his head jaw like if I can like encompass that and just like not painfully, but just firmly shut his mouth.
Okay.
Incredible.
I like the idea of a Minotaur putting his whole hand over and like one finger on top of his head, the other under the jar, and just hold it and like.
He goes, noted. He throws his hands up like he's innocent.
Okay. And we continue walking.
He stops and he falls back behind Tess a little bit, gives a nudge to Briar and with the elbow again. He's like, "Oh, what's his problem?"
He doesn't have a tolerance for bullshit.
"I'm just trying to help." You guys at this point are making your way out into the street and towards the
Yeah.
area with the tents.
Your help comes with a certain flair that falls into the category of bullshit.
I have nothing to do with bullshit. That's not my business. My business is legitimate information.
I'm just gonna glance at his bird.
Bird glances at it, gives you a couple blinks, and looks to like your pockets and if you have bags on you, looks at all the bags.
Ours bags aren't the best. They tend to have non-edible things in them, or very bad edible things. So she's not gonna take that bait. Just gonna keep walking.
The bird glares at you for a moment, just very dejectedly, like a very angry hissing noise. So you continue on for a bit. You reach an area that is sort of like the beginning where you reach the first one of these tents. It looks to be more of a merchant's area here. You notice some people that are very much different from the sort of like shambling dead that you've seen. None of these individuals are wearing gold masks, but they're all in front of merchant tents where they're selling various wares. It's all kinds of things, very like curiosities like type of area. Some of them have trinkets, and some of them have weapons, various items, chests, clothing of different kinds. They're not really getting a lot of business. They're just like sitting there very silently, quietly. Like none of these stalls have anybody buying or purchasing anything. What would you guys like to do?
Very-
So did all of us see the gold coin that Sevian gave Crix?
Yes, you would have all seen him sort of flick the coin over.
It was very obvious. I
Yeah.
think we were all
Yeah.
looking at Crix, and he like flicked it like
Yeah.
probably across the room.
Okay. So with these stalls and tents, is any kind of exchange happening?
Not that you can see. All of the merchants sort of sitting behind their tables of wares are just very lifeless. Again, you notice that they aren't like the sort of shambling creatures that you've seen elsewhere. They every now and then like turn and look at certain passerbys, but for the most part, they just look bored and uncaring. You
Okay.
don't see actively any transactions happening around.
I want to walk through the various stalls, and if there's like different lines or aisles of them, keep going through them to find one that's manned by not one of these lifeless things.
All of the tents that you see are they have like merchants in the back that just look like generic boring merchants that look not quite as lifeless as the undead, or I shouldn't call them undead, the dead, literally dead souls
Yeah.
of the individuals who are forging their masks. These future returned that are preparing to cross the river.
The undead.
Yes,
Yeah.
the future undead,
Yeah.
if they survive, if they're lucky enough to be undead. But yeah, these merchants, they look different from them. They're a little more prominently dressed, and
But
obviously
none of them stand out from each other.
no, they all just look like very generic, like not standout creatures or characters.
And does this go like right up to the river, or what's between this and the river?
Yeah, these tents go right up to the river, and they continue on further in both directions along the water as well for a ways.
Interesting.
As you guys are looking around, Sam walks up to you all and says, "You a little lost?"
Looking for something that supposedly is obvious.
Oh,
Something that stands out from the rest of this.
maybe I can help. I do know things. I've been around here
We would
quite a bit.
love your assistance if it comes without strings. Have you seen something?
No strings. I'm gonna, you're a friend of Crix. You're a friend of mine. Whatever you guys need. What are you looking for? What can I help you with?
A demon.
A demon? What do you look? Oh, wait a second. Are you trying to fly across the river?
I was just gonna look at him and wait.
He looks to the rest of you. You're gonna. How, is that what you want to do, Crix?
You're free to
No
stay here
response.
if you don't want to.
You guys are gonna fucking die. You can't even. You gotta barter with those creatures. They want something from you.
Don't worry
Yes,
about
and
that.
we have what they want.
His eyes sort of light up when you say that. You do. Well,
Oh my god.
I know where they are. If you promise to take me with you, I can take you to them.
Lead the
Didn't you
way
just
then.
say we were gonna die?
Well, look. I just want to get out of here, okay? I just want to get the hell out of here. I want to get back to my life the way I lived it. I never want to go near the water again. All right? I just want to get out of here. And if you
Why don't
have.
you use that scroll that you had?
He already told us it was bullshit.
He
I know.
squints at you. He's like, look, I wasn't 100% genuine with you, but I didn't know you then, okay? I know you now. I wouldn't lie to you.
Why don't you just lead us to where you think these demons are then?
You sure you want to fly over? You sure you want to do that? You know that it's pretty dangerous, right?
What do you know?
I know that most creatures that try to fly across get killed. If you get the assistance of the demon flight, they can get you across most of the time. They're mostly very successful. But it's still dangerous. The creatures of Erebos, his little minions, will attempt to ensnare you, pull you back into the water, and if you even touch that water, you're gone.
Oh, it's better than Erebos himself in the direction we just came from, so
Erebos himself. What do you?
I'll take my chances.
He looks to the rest of you. What does he beat? Erebos himself.
I did say the god of death, right?
You weren't
That's-
joking?
No, I wasn't fucking joking.
Jesus.
Did you not hear my serious voice?
I thought you said everybody was okay.
I did say that.
All right, look, whatever. I don't care. If you have, how are we going to barter with the thing? I'll take you there, but how are we going to barter with it? You have what they need. You have what they want.
Yes.
Show me.
Trust us.
No.
Oh.
Why not, Chris? We go back.
Let me explain something to you very simply. All right. You want me to help you? You know I'm good with my word. What does it matter what exactly is that's going to be botted?
Look, Chris. I'll take you there. All right, I'll take you there. I'll take all of you there. You swear you have what they want.
I absolutely swear I have what they want.
And you're going to take me with you.
I'm going to take you with me. I want to continue our business relationships.
All right. All right, look. I know the guy you want to talk to. All right, he's kind of an asshole, okay? So don't blame me for that, all right?
This is a group full of assholes. We'll get along.
So follow me. And he moves off through the tents towards the water. Everybody following along?
Following
Yeah.
along?
I'm gonna say to Crix, you're too good of a friend.
Yes, perhaps.
I'm not sure friend is the right word in here.
So you pass by a good number of tents, and you reach one that's it looks a little nicer than the rest of them, and has a red flag at the front of it. It's the first one that you've seen. And inside the tent is just a staircase that goes down under the ground. He stops in front of the tent, and he looks around, almost as if he's like checking to make sure anybody's paying attention. And he looks at the group of you. He's like, all right, look, his name's McCall, okay? Just, you should be respectful to this guy, okay? Because he has powerful friends, and you better have what he wants. Because if we go in there and you don't have what he wants, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble, okay?
Stay here if you're worried.
No, I'm gonna come with you. You're my new friends. I'm gonna make sure you stay safe. I'm gonna watch your back.
All right. I'm going to do a slight inside check to see if this is the guy.
Okay.
18.
He definitely, like, Sam seems nervous as fuck, but you don't get the idea that he's lying to you. Like, you know enough about his self-interest that you're probably the first way out that he's seen, and he probably wouldn't lie to you about this.
I am probably getting a genuine reaction to nervousness, which, yeah, would back that up.
Right.
All right. We'll head on in.
Okay, everybody moving inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you move inside, and you move down a very long cylindrical staircase, walking for about 10-15 seconds. You feel like you've gone maybe 2 or 3 stories underground. Before you open up in a very lavish chamber, there's this beautiful, like, red shag carpet, and it goes back through a room. There's a number of individuals in here. Immediately as you enter, they all sort of fade and disappear into the shadows. completely disappearing from sight before you're able to get even a glance at what they look like. But the whole room, maybe dozens of individuals, disappear into the shadows along the walls. At the end of the room, on a sort of,
I don't like that laugh.
I was
Right.
laughing going
Oh,
classy.
it was at me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Hey, y'all,
Recording shag
Jay.
It's very
carpet.
like expensive and lavish looking shag carpet, all right?
Uh-huh.
Of course.
But
It's
there's
actually really. My
Go ahead.
childhood bedroom had red shade carpet.
Oh, gross.
It was not lavish.
Gross.
Anyways, continue.
I agree about gross.
So at the end, there's a white, very love seat looking like sofa, and a creature lounging upon it, eating nasty little yellow cheese curds out of a bag. I'm gonna give you the image of this guy.
Please.
What
Oh.
the fuck is that thing? Jar Jar Binks, is that you?
Oh my god.
Just
Like
lounging,
that.
legs out. You can't see a dick, but you see a little bit of his balls.
Oh my
Oh, that's
god.
great.
From
Cheesy
Wisconsin.
Oh
puffs?
my god, what is this?
Do you see the image? It's so
He-
bad.
Yes.
I hate it.
He just stares at the group of you as you reach the bottom of the staircase, very slowly
First-
eating his little cheese balls.
First
Elvin
thing,
almost like reflexively went for his blade. Like just almost went for it.
First-
He just had an impulse.
first words out of Crix's mouth is, "Holy shit, Lucas, you let yourself go."
Sam immediately is like, "Shut the fuck up, Crix. Be nice. Be respectful." And he clearly he's like,
So-
McCall, it's good to see you again. It's good to see you again. What were you gonna ask, Tacitus?
Just as an aside, I imagine that the text that says Kobo cheesy puffs is somehow like flashing, like
Neon.
Yes.
yeah,
Every now
like
and then,
it's like
a bit of energy
alternating
pulses through it.
colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'd say as you approach, you notice the bag doesn't ever seem to empty.
Endless cheese puffs. Fucking incredible.
And he's just constantly sort of pulling them into his mouth one at a time, munching them. There's bits of cheese dust flying everywhere, all over the beautiful carpet and the very expensive looking love seat type furniture that he's sitting on. Sam immediately moves forward, has his arms turned out. He's like, "Oh, McCall, it's so good to see you again. Look, I know you asked me not to come back down here, but this time it's legit. All right, these are my friends here, and they
When
brought
he said that,
what I told you I have."
okay, when Sam says he asked him to not come down here, I am going to put my hand on Sam's shoulder and lead him upstairs.
He's already sort of like in the middle of the room approaching.
Who?
Sam Stricken.
Okay,
Like,
well then I'm going to quickly walk up to him and take him upstairs.
say, "Hey, wait! I'm introducing you. I know what to do. Okay."
I'm gonna clap my hand over his mouth.
Oh my god.
The creature on the lounge is basically just staring at you the whole time this is happening and just eating his cheese balls. Are you going to continue and drag him out?
Yes.
Okay. The rest of the party, what are you doing?
Watching bewildered.
Oh, is Crix gonna do anything?
Well, it seems like the introduction is going out the door. Well, we're here to do business. Apparently, you will take people across the rivers if you get a certain something right.
Continues munching his cheese balls. Are you going to walk right up to him?
I'm kind of like standing in the middle of the room.
How close do you want to get to this guy?
I'll be about 15 feet.
Okay. Briar, are you behind him?
Yeah.
Roll perception. Elwin, where are you?
Oh, dear Lord.
I'm near Briar.
Okay. Roll perception as well.
28.
Oh, perception, I thought.
Just Briar and Elwin, not you, Crix. You're focused on your friend here.
Perception. I rolled a 17.
Okay. Yeah, the both of you, as you're looking around, you notice the shadows are moving in the walls around this chamber.
Can I examine them at all from where we're standing?
Like when you look and try to focus and pay attention, everything sort of stills out, and it's hard to see anything particularly. But you notice as you look away in your peripherals, you can notice the shadows moving again.
Interesting.
Do
I look.
I notice this at all, or am I too focused on shutting Sam up?
You grabbed him and walked up the stairs, so you didn't sort of see any of that. But I mentioned as you guys came down here into the room, there were a number of individuals in the room that disappeared into the shadows.
I give Briar a glance and just nod.
I
The
will nod back and not say anything.
the creature himself is just munching on his cheese ball, staring blankly at the group of you. Tacitus, Sam is like struggling pretty heavily, trying to get out of your grip. Do you continue to drag him upstairs?
How far upstairs are we?
Made it about halfway now.
I will release my hand from his mouth.
So what the hell, man?
Don't fuck this up.
I was gonna set it up for you.
Sure.
He knows me, all right? We have a business relationship.
If he said he never wanted to see you again.
He didn't say that. He just said don't come back without something to barter with.
I don't actually remember if he said that.
I mean, you didn't hear him. He's saying something that this guy said to him the last time they interacted.
True. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I'm trying to remember what Sam said when.
Oh, he just said, "I know you asked me not to come back," is what he said specifically.
Okay.
Before you hoisted him out. But yeah, you want to continue just pulling him outstairs?
Fuck. Would I think that that's an error? Would Tacitus think that's an error? Or would he just think that Sam is just still lying through his teeth?
I mean, I'd say Tacitus fucking hates this guy, honestly. Is the vibe you've been given.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that Tacitus would take into consideration is Crix.
Yeah, it's like, I think Crix could handle it. Honestly, I think Crix could probably handle it better than Sam could. From what I know. I think this guy's probably likely to... Like, Tacitus probably thinks this guy's just likely to fuck everything.
Yeah. Not too far off.
So, if he didn't notice any particular danger when they were leaving... Let's see... This staircase, it's just the staircase, right? There's no, like, landing or anything like that?
No, it's just a circular staircase that goes up, like, 3 straight stories.
Okay, what I'll say is... If you be quiet, we'll go back down.
He gives a sigh. He's like, alright, I won't say a word.
Cool.
But only because we're friends, and I'm honoring your request as a friend.
I do not respond.
Set him down and keep going back down the stairs?
Yes.
Okay. So you make your way back down. Crix, did you want to do anything else at this point? Or Briar or Ellen?
I am just kind of looking to this figure sitting here bunching the cheese curls, and
he stares blankly at you without blinking almost, and just continues eating his cheese puffs.
Elwin kind of just like, to nobody in particular, says aloud, "Are those cheese puffs good?"
He stops chewing from
closer eyes.
He looks at you, Elwin, and shoves the bag forward a little bit, like towards you in your direction.
Oh God.
Elwin is gonna walk over and try one.
You notice inside the bag are like little hairs, and you see all along this creature's arm, he's like covered in these little hairs.
Elwin holds it up and examines it.
He's looking at you like not saying a word, just staring right at you.
It says, I've never been one to deny new cuisines. And then he's gonna just shove it in his mouth.
It doesn't taste anything like cheese. Tastes like raw beef.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Interesting.
Very terrible consistently. You do not enjoy yourself.
Elvin swallows it and says, "Not bad."
He snorts and grabs another couple. Looks to you again, Crix.
Alright, look, so I have what you would want because it was given to us by Simeon. You know, the damn king.
Sevian.
Simeon, whatever. So we are seeking passage to go. The question is, are you able to provide it?
He gives a snort again, and he looks towards the wall, and one of the shadows falls off of the wall and travels along the floor, and takes form in front of you, Crix. The creature itself is still very wispy and shadow-like. It doesn't really take human form, but it reaches a hand out to you.
I will reach into my bag where I took the coin and put. I'll pull it out and I'll hold it out to the shadow and then kind of look at the dude that's sitting there on the couch and just go, "This includes all of us, including Sam's." And then I'll put it on the shadow's hand and let go.
Okay. At this point,
El-
Tacitus, you're coming back down with Sam as you see Crix put the coin in the hand of the shadow. What were you saying, Ellen?
Elwin went back to Briar's side and just sort of whispers to Briar and says, "Sorry, I let the intrusive thoughts win."
I was just gonna side eye him, raise an eyebrow before looking back to Crix.
You've probably got a couple of his arm hairs stuck in your teeth.
I am removing them actively.
So he gives you a very slow nod, Crix. Do you drop the coin?
Oh, I already said I put it in the
sorry.
hand and let go.
Okay. Yeah, the shadow closes its hand around the coin and then disappears, slowly dissolving back into the floor and then shifting back off into the wall. You see the shadow shift along the wall, travel along the wall behind him, and just the shadowy arm reaches out and drops the coin into his hand. He looks it over, holds it up into the light. You see him nibble on it a little bit. Sort of spits off in the direction, not in your direction, but off towards the wall after he chews on it a bit. Nods and puts it back into the hand of that shadowy arm that's projected out of the wall. And the arm pulls it back in and disappears. He stands up. He grabs his little bag of cheese puffs and starts to walk towards you. Gets within about 2 feet of you, Crix. Gives you a quick sniff. Looks to the rest of the party. Tacitus, you're moving back up with Sam at this point, who's kept very quiet, keeping his word for the moment. He looks over and you see the shadow sort of shift and move along the walls, and he finally looks at you. He says, "Follow me," and begins to move towards the back of the room, towards that spiraled staircase.
What did he
We
say?
go.
Follow me.
Oh, follow me. Okay.
He's still chewing his cheese puffs as he walks along. Everybody following along with him?
Yep.
Okay, so he moves towards the staircase. He makes a right turn towards just a wall. He moves his hand in a quick motion, and some of the shadows start to overtake the wall and inevitably shift away, and there's an open doorway. He looks at the group of you. Follow the path.
All right.
He holds the bag of cheese puffs out to the group of you as you start to move into the corridor. It's like, please take some for the journey.
Sorry,
Did
what was
I
he getting at?
see? Did I see Elwin eat one?
No.
No, you didn't.
No. You
How
missed that.
long has it been since we last ate?
A while. I'd say the last time you ate was when right before you had that brawl that morning.
Owen just says, the one that I had was plenty for me. I think I will be full for this
He
trip.
I think
snarls at you for a moment. Take some for the road.
Crix takes a couple into his hand and then puts it into his pouch and gives a nod.
Owen does the same.
I'll take like 2 or 3, and then I guess I'll take 3, and then one of them I'll just toss into my mouth immediately.
Yeah, it
Nice.
is. He smiles
Gross.
at you specifically, Tacitus. But yeah, it tastes absolutely like ass, like disgusting, like rancid meat, and you definitely get that crunchiness of some of his hairs in there.
Oh god.
That's just nasty.
I'm just going to try and keep a stone face, I think.
Briar?
She'll extremely gingerly and like just with her nails pick one up.
He like squints his eyes in somewhat of a glare at you as you do so.
The disgust.
And just keep moving.
I look back
Did
towards
Sam take any?
Sam.
Wait, did Sam take any?
No, Sam didn't take any.
I'm gonna stop him to make sure he takes them.
He looks at you. What? What do you want? What?
And I'm gonna motion towards the bag.
Oh,
It's
don't.
rude.
He walks over, and as he does, the creature sort of snaps its teeth at him as he tries to reach for some. Like, not him. It's
Okay.
like, oh yeah, I didn't want any. They made me do it. I didn't. Continuing through the corridors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep moving.
Yeah. I kind of like semi-slow down a little bit so Sam can kind of catch up with me. And I give him like 2 pieces of the meat of the cheese curds.
They're
I just
supposed
get,
to be cheese puffs.
yeah. I just go, I'm not sure if we're supposed to actually eat these or give them to something that might try to eat us. It might be best to have a couple on you.
As you hand it to him, his bird immediately snaps down and snaps them both out of his hand. Munches them up.
Well,
Gross.
Yeah, thanks, Rex.
does the bird throw up?
No, the bird looks like it enjoys them.
Briar's gonna give hers to the bird.
Completely just murders them.
All right.
If we
Off
all
you
die
go.
it's because something is hungry and tries to eat us, that's on news.
I have 2.
Me too.
So you walk for a while. You notice as you're moving, the shadows along the wall move with you as well. They pass by you every now and then. Sometimes they stop, take form, and sort of watch you as you pass through what is essentially just a very dark, almost mine shafty like corridor. The walls are mostly dirt with wooden frame every now and then. Occasionally you pass by a very faint torchlight that very dimly lights most of this corridor. But you make your way for a few minutes before you finally reach an edge. You're sort of exiting out a tunnel right at the edge of the river Tartix to the point where the water is like within 10, 15 feet of you. Sam sort of like looks out and looks around. He's like, don't touch the water. And he
Wasn't planning on it.
like very carefully like hustles out of the tunnel and holds himself along the wall on the edge. Everybody else moving out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you pass outside, you notice that you're on some sort of lower bank. You can hear the hustle and bustle of the city above you. I shouldn't say hustle and bustle. It's not really hustle, but you hear the activity of the city above you. You still hear the clanks of those hammers off in the distance, a good ways off. But the area that you're in is very like dark and out of place. You also notice several runes drawn into the dirt at your feet.
Are the runes recognizable as anything?
No, nothing you recognize.
What else is out here?
Every now and then the water shifts and moves. Off in the distance, you can see far, far, far to the right-hand side exiting the tunnel, numerous dead drifting and wading into the water with those gold masks on their face, beginning to swim.
I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
Is there anything that indicates what we're supposed to do from here?
No, everything's very dark over here. It's very much like shady. It seems like a very hidden place, like out of sight. but otherwise there's no indication. Every now and then you see that wisping smoke off the water. If you pay attention to it long enough, it seems like there's creatures trying to drag themselves towards you, very mist-like creatures that get sucked back down into the blackness of the water.
Are there any of those like shadow creature things around us?
Roll perception.
19?
Yeah, you definitely like looking around. You notice a couple of those shadows slowly moving along the ground and along the walls of the surface behind you.
I'm gonna look at one of the shadows and just be like, "So where's our ride?"
For a moment, nothing happens, but inevitably, a very slow arm starts to form in the shadow, and it points up.
I look up.
As you look up, you see several hulking, massive visages, massive figures. They are moving through the darkness towards you. The creatures themselves seem to move slowly through the dark. They're being very careful. You can't really make out their specific form yet, but you can tell that they're slowly approaching through the air.
I guess that answers my question. And I point this out to whoever was looking up.
How far away are they?
A couple 100 feet in the air. They seem to be making their way towards you.
Okay.
You notice there's 5 of them, likely one for each of you. Everybody, you want to just wait here for them? Or do you want to do anything in the moments you have before they arrive?
We'll wait.
Okay. So again, it's for the most part, it's very quiet. It's very eerie. Off in the distance, again, those creatures are slowly wading their way into the water. Just dozens of them, one after another, after another, after another, after another, swimming off into the darkness of the waters. After probably a minute, the creatures all stop. They take almost a formation as they stop up in the air above you, probably about 40 or 50 feet above you. They seem to be waiting for something. For a moment, the shadows shift out of the wall. They get very close to the water, and they draw what looks to be a line. It becomes a glowing red line with very magical runic energy forming that travels along the ground and fits into the grooves of those runes that formed.
I see.
Immediately as those runes light up, the shadows retreat almost as fast as they possibly can into that tunnel below, and the 5 creatures slam down into the ground. These are the creatures that land in front of you. Very dark, demonic creatures, massive wings. They're roughly 8-9 feet tall. And
They look friendly.
each one of them sort of takes position in front of the group of you. Sam
They look super friendly.
Sam looks at the group of them. He's like, all right, we're gonna get on their backs, and they're gonna fly us over the river, okay? But as we cross, just keep your eyes open, all right? You might need to fight off things.
We've been fighting off things for a while now.
The creatures are very solemn and silent. They just wait, glaring at you. One for each of you.
I'm gonna pick one and just sort of walk up to it and try and figure out how to get on its back.
Yeah, looking around behind it, you can latch onto the shoulders and sort of pull yourself up.
I'm gonna do so, and then look at everyone else and say, "Well, let's get going."
Hey, this should be fun.
Everybody else grasping onto these creatures?
Yeah.
Compared to what we've seen in the last 24 hours, this is nothing.
Tacitus, you as well? Oh, he might say be right back, yeah.
Yeah.
But I assume he's good.
Tacitus decides to stay here and
Tacitus decides to stay and live in the underworld forever and ever at the end.
He decided that Sam reached 0 and pushes him into the water.
Oh, that'd be fucked up, man.
What did you say about the water, Sam? Here you go.
Well, I guess we can give Gouda a second.
wouldn't do that.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
No.
He wouldn't do that. No.
He would beat the shit out of Sam, but I don't think he would do that.
I don't know, man. Sam can be pretty irritating. He might. I could see him pushing Tacitus to the edge.
We haven't
Maybe
seen
if
Tacitus snap yet.
Tacitus rolls a 1 on his tolerance for him.
A 1 on the tolerance roll.
But I mean, we're gonna wrap here anyway. So, we'll catch Good up in a second when he gets back. But yeah, the group of you grasp onto the creatures. For a moment, their eyes glow as if they're receiving orders or information for something. You hear a bit of a cackle from the tunnel that you had come from. Sort of a very slow, eerie, cackling laughter. Very unsettling. Sam, like, as he hears that, he's like, "Ah, shit!" And then as he's about to like give the "oh shit," you take off into the air, into the darkness, spinning around very quickly and flying over the river towards your exit from the underworld. And we'll call it there.
Wow.
And Sam is with us?
Yeah, Sam is on the back of one of his own Baylor.
Okay. Got it.
End of the underworld era.
Maybe.
Well,
I hope we don't come back.
If you escape,
we
you were going
just
to.
got instructions to go to Nyx if we wanted to take that.
Well,
so.
that's not the underworld.
True.
Yeah, Nyx is the god plane, so it's in like an extra reality type of space. But yeah, it is not the underworld.
Owen is retiring as soon as we get back to Theros.
But yeah, we'll pick up during your demon flight because it's going to be a whole thing, and then we'll see if you escape.
So, that's good.
Any questions about the session? Anything you guys wanted to go over?
Can I spend some time in the early part of our flight attuning to whatever weapon I just got, this greatsword? Or like
Not
studying
really.
it?
You're not. It's not like a JetBlue flight. You're gonna have some things you're gonna have to focus on aside from that weapon. But
Okay,
you'll.
so basically, we can't use them until
You can
after.
use them. You just you won't know everything about them until you sort of have some time. And I'm also gonna like as you use them, you'll start to remember things about them as well.
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't sure what the dynamic was with that.
But I'm gonna send you some basic info on them, and so like what you be rolling in when you use them, and
Okay.
yeah. Aside from that, more detail you'll get either as you use the weapon and you make the memories, or you spend some time with them specifically to try to recall.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we could if we were allowed to use them until we
I mean, Crix used his
Yeah,
already.
fired his bow already up.
That's true, though it seemed like Crix knew stuff already.
Yeah, Crix had a much clearer vision than the rest of you.
Yeah. I didn't even see the weapon in my vision.
He didn't see his weapon in his vision either. But it is something that he was familiar with.
It was something that he was looking for in his vision. Thus,
Okay.
I figure it was a weapon that he knew how to use.
I'm back.
All right. we did wrap the session. So basically the party each mounted an individual Baylor, the demonic creatures that sort of landed in front of you. And there was an eerie cackling coming from that tunnel that you had arrived from. Sam Stricken tried to give an oh shit, but he didn't quite get it all out as you sort of thrust into the air, into the darkness, and began your demon flight over the river Tartix. And that's what we're going to pick up next week.
Okay.
But yeah, any questions? Anything you wanted to go over?
No. Looking forward to our flight.
Yeah.
I love the flower theme for the daggers.
I love the
Wait till
cheese
you
puff
use
even.
So
McCall.
excited.
I am now juggling way too many swords.
Yeah, you've got a lot of weapons.
Now need to figure out what the hell I'm doing with all these swords. None of them are normal.
No,
They're all abnormal swords.
you don't have a single normal weapon.
At least I'm hoping this new greatsword isn't trying to tear me apart. That'd be new.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd say you definitely know that it's not that kind of weapon. Like, it's something. What they basically did was they used their energy to create a miracle in a way, like a miracle you would request from the gods of Theros to reforge your weapons. So they're basically authentic to the weapons that you had carried in your previous
Yeah.
life in that world.
Ooh,
Maybe I should have just given these cursed swords to Sevian before we left. Don't need them where I'm going.
But you don't even know if you can get rid of them.
Throwing away my my old friend. Throwing away my new friends for my old friend. That's what we're doing.
So yeah, we'll see how things progress.
I mean, Elwin had a very dramatic experience in that fog before we got to the God Chamber. So
Yes.
I feel like most of us did.
Yeah, pretty much everybody.
yeah,
Except for maybe Crix, who really enjoyed his.
Yeah, Crix had a fun. Yeah, he had a good time.
Should have maybe given the swords to Sevian. That would have been fun.
yeah, that's what I was
Like
saying.
at the very end, I mean, like when he was gonna fight against
Yeah, that
Agonas.
was the moment I was thinking. Like I was debating, just like being like, "Here, take the swords." But again, I don't even know if I could let go of the swords, considering their nature.
Yeah, you're not sure what would happen if you tried to get rid of
I might have just died on the spot. Who knows?
them. You technically have a pact with one of them, so.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of weird situationship I have with the other one.
Right.
Yeah. Pact weapons reform for you,
I can
don't they?
resummon them. Yeah.
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 Although there's like something about I think when it's like a magical weapon, there's a little extra detail on how they come back. Can't remember what it was.
Yeah. It's like a flourish type of thing. So it's a lot of it is whatever you decide for your character specifically. There's no like official rule, but there are some specific rules about packed weapons about are you able to get rid of them or not. For the most part, it's a no. And sometimes it's dangerous. Sometimes it's just like they'll just return to you on their own.
Yeah. I think what it was like if you create a packed weapon, like you create your own packed weapon, but if you use an existing magic weapon and turn it into your packed weapon, then you're then able to like de-summon and resummon this magical weapon. You can like shunt it into an extra dimensional space.
I forgot
Oh,
to put
is
up that
this more
other.
horror for us?
Yeah, I forgot to put up that other Erebos artwork that I wanted to. Because that like
Oh, fun.
depicts those like tendrils that you also experience in the other group.
Tentacles.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if Gideon and Lily die.
Yeah, fate unknown.
It says I can perform a 1-hour ritual to break my bond with the packed weapon.
Yep, that's a thing you can try.
I can perform a 1-hour ritual on a different weapon as a way to break my packed weapon.
But then the pact is still with the same entity. It's just on a different weapon.
Well, yeah, more or less. My otherworldly patron would be the same.
Yeah.
Unless I don't even know if that's possible. Bird, can I just like annihilate my pact entirely? What happens to a warlock without a pact?
Yeah, you can
You can
definitely
try.
try. Yep. You can absolutely try. And then we'll see.
Maybe a packless warlock? Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There are instances of that happening. So
Because it's the same. It's like the other side of a coin for a godless cleric.
exactly. You lose
Yeah,
your
but
divine support, so you're basically heavily weakened. You're not exactly
Elwin
useless, but you're heavily weakened.
Elwin is about to become a packless warlock and a fallen Asmar all in one swoop.
I feel like Elwin's on the rise. He sort of slipped into the darkness, but he's on his way back up.
Well, he's got a celestial to kill.
As long as you don't fall into the river
Yeah.
first.
About to become a ranger.
Elwin can fly, it's fine.
But yeah, how do y'all feel about your character backstories, your previous lives?
I think Tastus probably doesn't care. like either doesn't care or thinks it's bullshit still for now.
Okay.
I kind of view his attitude toward like the gods and stuff is like stop fucking. Like the entire descent into like the underworld has kind of been like fuck all the gods, and that
Yeah.
all the gods includes like the other good gods, right? That I was
Well,
working for. Apparently,
you don't know that they're good gods. You just know that they're the gods
Yeah.
in your previous world. Yeah.
yeah.
Other gods.
But it's kind of just like fuck all of them is I think the attitude that I'm gonna stick with for him.
Yeah.
Where
And
it's
I'd say, like, with your memories of your previous life, you never really had any love for these gods, but you did have the only thing that you had definitely had love and respect for was that Oni, the Shimatsu, the warlord.
yeah, like that, and like even this, like even those feelings, I think he would be very, for lack of a better word, atheist about. Where it's like, how do I even know, like,
If that was
if
real.
that's
Yeah.
like, you can say that the character feels that it's true, but like whether they still like truly believe it.
Yeah, no, you don't have
Right.
to believe it. I'm just so what I describe to you is your feelings. Like when
Yeah,
you're witnessing this, the things that you feel internally, the way that you like decipher it and disseminate it is all up to
yeah. When I say you, I meant more like when,
you. They did, yeah,
like,
the elder gods.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So I think he's kind of not. He's not really interested in it at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. How about the rest of you?
I don't know. I feel like I'm in a weird spot because I knew it was coming.
Yeah, you had your other characters. You had Lizulis.
Yeah. I enjoyed it though. I think it's fun. Also, it kind of feels bad, man. Bitch has never known a home in her life.
Yeah.
I think for Elwyn, he's not very hung up on the details of the vision. He just is reaffirmed even further that he hates his dad.
Yeah, maybe betrayed
The
your
daddy
entire world.
issues have
Yeah.
the daddy issues have intensified a little bit. He's like, damn, not only did he like betray me, but he also pretty much doomed our past world.
Potentially.
It's no longer personal.
I love Crix being OP.
That's not a good thing. For
Crix is just
Crick,
fucking badass.
Crick's, I'm gonna say because he felt more connected to it, that he's much more willing to believe. And the fact that you decide just out of the fucking blue to be like, you've lived multiple lives, this one's a bounty hunter. All I can think of is my other character I've played. And I think I'm gonna incorporate him into Crix's personality now.
Oh,
So
hell
you
yeah.
might see a switch between like the very jokey Crix with the lisp to being like just kind of like a hard ass for like a couple of minutes.
Hell yeah.
His past life seeping in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I
Yeah.
rolled for clarity of vision, and Crix was the one that was like the clearest. The rest of you had
Yeah.
like different variances of how much you like were able to connect with and recognize.
I think the one thing that's sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say if it wasn't like so clear to Crix, I probably wouldn't use the bow right away.
I think the one thing that's on Elwyn's mind is how strange it is that the four of us have ended up together. Considering that we all apparently came from the same place.
Yeah, it's very fated type of feeling.
Yeah. Apparently, Briar was a knight for my family.
A little confused with the whole Savas thing, though.
Yeah. You'll have to find
Savas,
more out about that later.
yeah, because physical Savas wants to fight the god, didn't he?
Yeah, from what you understood initially, Savas was out to destroy Karanos.
Okay. And Karanos is one of the gods of Theros.
Yes,
Storm
he's
god.
god of storms and the god of wisdom, as it were.
So I don't understand is the fact that the other version of him, the skeleton, also had a very, very negative reaction to the mention of Keranos.
Yes.
So
Well, it's
it
still a
seems
part of
like
God.
both sides do not like the god.
I mean, both sides is just all of it is Savas.
I know, but
So
like
it's
this
negative
is,
emotions and it's positive emotions.
but these are emotions that were separated. Like from what we've heard, this is his pain, sorrow, and anger. And if you got rid of his anger, why is he still going after this god as his physical form?
Well, you can still want to kill a thing and not be angry at it.
I don't know. It's just
Well, I'm
You know,
sure Savas
he's not
still
without
knows.
his drives and his focus, and there's definitely a thing. Well, it's something that you're gonna have to like read into. Glassy knows some meta knowledge about this.
Well, the way I see it, I'm like it's become less of a emotionally driven revenge for him and more of a cold, logical revenge for him. Like he knows that he wants to get revenge. He
Yeah.
doesn't have maybe the raw anger behind it anymore, but he's still calculating his revenge and going for it.
Or even outside of like revenge, like because Savas was described as like a good person, right?
Yes. Generally, like
If
jovial and kind to people, very well loved, and he was always out for justice to protect.
if he learned of this rebellion against the gods and deciding, oh, they were evil, fucked up, conquered other realms, whatever, that could be more of a, I don't know, like a quote unquote positive emotion than like something for revenge.
Mhm. And also, like, you could say that passion could be with the
Yeah, absolutely.
positive Savas.
Yeah.
He has something like just a burning passion to complete this.
Some
Task.
motivations are just not emotional too. Like just
yeah, we're
detached
gonna get to
motivations.
the end game. It's gonna be Savas versus Savas.
We'll see. Like I said, so like Group 1's actions and Group 2's actions are in the same universe at this point. So there are things
Yeah,
that like
I'm
Glassy has meta
curious
knowledge.
about that.
How's that going, Glassy?
It, you know,
So,
they're
so,
happening.
so with your meta knowledge, how are we gonna fare?
You know, I can make poor assumptions about where this is heading. I don't know. Seems like it'll work.
Oh, fine.
It's like
I
a
think
an
the
8 on an insight
biggest.
roll. It seems like it'll work.
I
You
think
don't know.
the like biggest deciding factor here is going to be like, are your characters going to be willing to pursue what Savas wants us to pursue? I think that's going to be the biggest factor here, because I think it's very plausible that like y'all could just say no, fuck it.
Yeah.
Vote.
Absolutely.
I mean, Elwin's not very interested. So that's what his vote's going to end up being.
I think Crix, depending on what is worded, could be persuaded. Because, like I said, he had clear vision, so I'm willing to say Crix would be more emotionally tied to it. If it's, hey, we're gonna go destroy some gods, I could see him for like that moment being like, "That was my mission. Let's go do it."
Yeah. I mean, with you very clearly remember like that drive for the mission, the goal that you had to destroy them all.
Right.
Like that's
Right,
something
and
that would sit
you
in you
made
still.
mention that he wasn't able to get into Nyx
Yeah.
at points,
Yeah. Like you tried
and
many,
he
many
was,
times. And it's still
and
like
he
the
was
sting of
the,
that failure is still there.
yeah, and he was also the last one that kind of got to see how things folded on that field.
Yes. And I'd say with Elwyn, you have the connectivity of your father and your family, and that would be, I'd say, if he had a drive to move forward and figure the rest of this out, that'd be it. Not necessarily like because Savas asked you to, but it's entirely up to you.
Would he know that that direction would give him some hints?
I mean, this is the connection to that world. So
Right.
Yeah, I would say you could definitely like draw that line.
Yeah.
Like you literally just had a vision of your family and its history. Like
and
It
Savance
makes
is asking
the-
you to destroy a seal. So if not the aquatic kind.
Awesome seal.
oh my god.
So
Could be the aquatic kind. We don't know.
you know, you can make whatever assumptions you want about what that's sealing, but that's the request that was made.
If I have a request for group 1, can you introduce that demon somehow? The one we worked with?
Maybe. There's potential. There's potential.
I
A
think-
cheese pop demon?
Oh
cheese puff demon.
god.
McCall. His name is McCall.
Macaulay Culkin?
MACAW?
Maccall. Yeah.
I think he's like
Fine.
he's like probably favorite NPC, maybe second. Him and Sam, I think, are pretty high up there.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
You might not
Well,
be done with him yet either. He's we'll see.
I like Sam.
Well, you're definitely stuck with Sam for a minute. You might not be done with
I
McCall.
mean, meta-wise, I like Sam. Character-wise,
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what makes it fun. Is like the character
Yeah.
just
Do you
having a burning hatred for this.
do you remember the first interaction that Crix had with him, Gouda? In the very first session we played?
no.
Oh, you should go back and listen to that.
It was something.
Yeah.
What was it?
Was Gouda even there at that point? Or
Oh
was
no,
that with
you
Rick?
weren't. That's right. Yeah, you didn't
No,
start.
Buddha came in
I
after.
forget.
It was
Yeah.
Rick. It was
Yeah, it
Rick.
was Rick. Yeah, I forget that you weren't there, Gouda. But yeah, it was quite the interaction. It was a good time. Crix basically made a deal with him, and then there was supposed to be like a code where he said that he had a means for Crix to escape, and he could get them both out if shit went sideways after the meeting.
Familiar play.
It went sideways, and
And
yeah,
then
it
he
didn't work.
Yeah, he phased through the wall and disappeared, and this is the last he saw of him.
Oh,
Abandoned.
right. I remember hearing about this.
Just abandoned Crick.
Yeah. And he made him sign a contract.
A bullshit contract.
He just, yeah. He had used some illusion magic, like to create some heat and make you feel like, you know, you were actually signing a contract. But
Yeah, well, you know what? you put me in a situation where if it was a real
Yeah, you got
contract,
out of
and
it.
he's in such a shitty fucking easy way to get out. It's like you use that contract, man.
yeah, I'm glad you guys ran into Sam again. Oh, let me shut the stream down.